Good morning. I'd like to call back to order the Finance and Economic Development Committee and the fiscal year 2026-2027 departmental budget reviews. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum and Council Chair Raposo is on his way. On the schedule today, we will be hearing from the Transportation Agency, Housing Agency, Office of Elderly Affairs, Office of the County Auditor, and Office of the County Clerk, including elections. Today is our final day for departmental budget reviews. As we do each morning, we'll take public testimony at the beginning. Is there anyone in the public wishing to testify? Yeah, come on. So state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. And if you need more time, you'll have another 3 minutes after everyone's had a chance to testify.
Thank you. My name is Dan Freund. I live in Kapahi. I pay taxes and I don't resent it. Now, why, you might ask? Because, as someone said, the taxes are the price we pay for a civilized society. One thing that makes for a civilized society is caring for your neighbors, and that means putting out a helping hand to your neighbors in need. With that in mind, I am asking you to meaningfully increase funding for nonprofits working to better conditions for our homeless neighbors. My understanding is that Hawaii Island's budget for this work is more than $5.5 million. Now, their population is about 2.8 times larger than ours, but you take 5.5 million, divide it by 2.8, and the answer is $1,960,000, almost $2 million. I'm asking you to consider allocating less than that, only $1.5 million. A small price to pay for being a truly civilized society. Now, you'll be happy to hear that is the conclusion of my prepared remarks. You'll be less happy to hear that I was eating dinner with my wife last night and discussing this, and she came up with another rationale, a little more calculating than mine, and that is the experience of tourists, which is where our money comes from ultimately, and residents along the Kauai bike path north of Kilauea Beach. There are some encampments there, and so people who are enjoying that for recreational purposes will find that occasionally a motorized vehicle will drive by on the way to an encampment. Occasionally someone will pop out of the woods from an encampment. And that degrades the experience and for residents and, again, if you're looking at economics, for tourists. So for these reasons, again, I hope that you'll consider allocating $1.5 million for homeless nonprofit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify?
Primary care and about half-time outreach. I am primary care to about 300 who are houseless or in danger of being so. I do a great deal of outreach. I have a lot of anecdotal experience with such, and we came here, unrelated from nice gentlemen in the audience behind me, who we were asking for you to increase your budget to about 1.5 million, and we would like to specify that you even consider earmarking about 500,000 of that for a safe park zone. We've been working on plans for such. We understand that unfortunately there have been no proposals so far. We don't have one prepared to show with us today, but we have a team of about 7 people who've been working on it, who are all experienced in houselessness, and we would be looking for your support with some of that money. Hopefully 500,000 earmarked. If we even got a part of that, our plan would have stage zones for multiple locations on the island, some temporary, some longer term, that would help with our houseless situation. I'd like to turn over my time to my partner who's back. Oh, please.
I have a clarifying question. Mike.
Clarifying question. You have this plan. Where do we see the plan? Is there?
We don't have a plan fully furnished. We've been working on it now for a few months.
Okay, send it to us.
I would love to.
Councilmember Holland.
Do you guys have a formal nonprofit name or anything yet?
So we're currently with 3 nonprofits, and
Okay.
we're trying to kind of decide how we should do so. Hōʻike Community Media has been our main sponsor, and that's where I started. That's where Kino started. We do a lot of work with them. We also have Fundamental, and I run a pantry through our church nonprofit, all 3 of which have expressed a great wish to participate. But we're also seeking help with people who know more about administrative requirements in governmental bodies than us. So how to work those details are beyond me. I'm going to sound vain for say I'm an idea person. I act, but I don't necessarily have the finite details for all that administrative stuff. That's a foreign language for me.
Well, thank you for being a part of the solution.
Councilmember Cowden, clarifying question.
Is that UCC Kapa'a?
Yes.
Okay.
Kapa'a UCC Church, we have a pantry. I believe it's the largest on island now. My husband, who's pastor there, and I started that about 2.5 years ago through Hōʻike Community Media. We serve about 250 meals weekly, and we serve about 100 to 150 people groceries.
Thank you.
As they,
We know how to get a hold of you then. That's good.
I'll make
Yeah.
sure so. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Next up.
Aloha. My name is Kino Shigekane. I'm sorry, my throat is kind of off today. Well, it's been off for a couple of days. But basically, I am with Hōʻike Community Media. We do food bank distributions. We are the outreach. So we do it at the beaches. We go out 3-4 times a week from Tuesday through Friday. Every day we're on a different part of the island. We service, the houseless community on a regular basis. We see them on a regular basis. And we personally, my family and I, have also been homeless. So we know what the needs are, like personally. And I think, and I know that you guys understand that there is this overwhelming need, but I think I would like to see a kind of more focused approach on the immediate, and that would be like a safety zone. Like there is literally, when we were out, we were living in our cars, we had no place to go to be able to sleep and just not worry about getting a ticket. And that is, like, I couldn't understand it for a long time. Like, we did the whole thing, we got our camping permits. There was a moratorium, so after the 60 days, you can't get any more permits. You can't legally be anywhere. And that was really hard for us. Like, I was like, how do I not become a criminal because I can't afford a house? So I think, and there are a lot of initiatives. There's a lot of support. There's new, houses being built and all of that, but it's the immediate, right? Where do they go? Where do we go while we're waiting to get into transitional housing or get into these programs? Like, we didn't even know that we had to be certified as being homeless in order to get onto any kind of program. And that's not something that's posted anywhere. Nobody tells you about these things. We're like homeless for a good, couple months before we even knew anything about it. We're like, what do you mean we have to get certified? And then it takes like 4 to 5 months just to get certified because there's only one place that does it. So it takes a very, very long time. We are now housed, but it took us almost 2 years just to get housed. So during that interim, what happens and where does everybody go? And I think that there should be a lot more focus on that aspect of it. And like he said, we are working on a proposal. We didn't realize that there was like absolutely no proposals for this, which is like mind-boggling. So we are working on a current proposal.
That's your first 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Does anyone want to, you can stay there. Anyone want to speak again? Another 3 minutes? If not, you can have your second 3 minutes.
Sorry, thank you. So we are working on a proposal right now to deal with kind of all of the different facets of this, but we definitely would like to see a lot more money allocated to, the funding of the houses problem in general, and then specifically for an extra earmarked portion for the safety zone initiative. Only because I feel like it gets overlooked a lot. So I'm looking at, yes, I would like to see 1.5 million and 500,000 of that definitely being allocated, at least earmarked towards, and of course, if there's no proposals, there's no proposals, right? You can't give money to something that you have no proposals for. So that being said, I would like to have Kaipo come up and talk, if that would be okay.
He can talk after.
Yeah.
We're still in public testimony.
Okay.
I have a clarifying.
If you're done with your testimony, we have clarifying questions.
I just have a clarifying
Chair
question.
Pogo.
You mentioned being certified. You have to be certified.
You have to be certified.
Just explain how does that?
So you have to call Family Life Center.
Yeah.
And then they have to come out, they make multiple trips out to see you where you are living, whether it be in your house or in a camp or in not in a house because you have to be unsheltered, but in your car or whatnot. They will come and inspect, and then they make their reports or whatever, and then you get a certificate at the end of this to be certified as being homeless. And then you get put on a list, which is what all of these other agencies will pull from when they're pulling people. So Catholic Charities will pull from this list, KEO pulls from this list, PAL pulls from this list. So in order to even get into any of those housings, you literally first step is you have to be certified as being homeless, which is kind of ridiculous.
And you said it took several months?
Oh, yeah.
Is it 3 to 4?
Yeah.
3 to 4 months, yeah.
I have
Hold on.
a clarifying question.
Okay, all right. I'm just reading well, I guess when we have housing come up, he can explain better. I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Councilmember Cowden, clarifying question.
Yes. Can you tell me your name again?
Kino, Kino.
And what's your last name?
Shigekane, Shigekane.
Okay, thank
I
you
think
for...
we got an email from you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for explaining about the continuum of care in Family Life Center. We only have one continuum of care provider, and when people are always moving, it makes it very difficult for them to ever certify people.
Yeah.
And this has been a prolonged problem
Okay.
through the whole...
That would probably be a question or something you can ask Adam later.
Yeah.
And it has to do with phones too as well, right? Because they have to be able to get in contact with the people, and half of them don't have phones or don't have minutes or whatnot. So it becomes a very...
One more clarifying question. Sorry,
Clarifying,
Councilmember
you
Corvallis.
mentioned, did you have any connection, I thought you mentioned with any churches, did you say that?
Church of the Pacific, so we're right now doing the distributions under Hōʻike Hawaii, which
So
is...
the churches part for now, but prior to that, was there any connection for you on the churches?
No.
Okay.
We just go to whoever we can help. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify? Just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes, and an additional 3 minutes if nobody else is going to say anything.
Okay, first name Kaipo, K-A-I-P-O. Last name Ho'okano, H-O-O-K-A-N-O.
You can share this.
Okay, I've been homeless for going on 6 years now, and it's really hard to find some place where we can go to bed and not wake up worrying about all our stuff being taken away, or a safe place to actually put our heads down. Parking is ridiculous because there's no place to go, nowhere. Every place we go, we're either bugged about being parked in the wrong place, we have no place to put our stuff. I've had a case where I tried to go to work one day and came back and everything I owned was gone. I mean everything. The only thing I had left was the car that I was in, packed with everything I had. So it was really hard because during the days, at night, I try and cook at least one full meal for everybody who's around. And it got really hard when they took all my cooking supplies and pots, pans, tools. It was all gone. I mean, just gone. It took months to rebuild everything. And most of these guys, they have no place else to go. Don't have anything to cook with, no coolers. I tried to set all this up and came back, gone. You know, people will try and go to bed sometimes, but they sleep with one eye open because one, you get people pillaging stuff from you, taking your food, stealing anything they can just to get by for themselves. What else can we do? Where can we go? Nowhere. Not even at a county park can we stay overnight. Most of these guys can't even afford a camping permit. And a camping permit only goes for a couple of days. So where do you go after that? No place to have a nice shower, no place to, clean bathrooms are really hard to find. I could go on and on and on about this stuff. A lot of people are here not because they want to, because they have to. I was born and raised here, and I have choices where I could or could not be homeless. Many of these people, they don't have the same choices. They're also born and raised here. I have watched people that I knew all my life. Used to have really good jobs with cost of living.
That's your first 3 minutes. Anyone else in the audience wanted to speak again for 3 minutes?
Wow, that's true.
If not, you can have your second 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Like I was saying, they worked hard all their lives and they still can't afford housing. That's kind of ridiculous because we're born and raised here. We see people all over the place coming from everywhere. And they've got housing, they've got this, they've got that. And all we want is someplace safe to just put up, even if it's just for a week. Then find someplace new that we could sit down, lie down, close your eyes, and just hope tomorrow will be a better day. Anybody got any questions?
Any clarifying questions from the members? If not,
I want to say thank you for testifying, and we care and very aware of the
Okay.
problem.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify today? Yeah, you can have your second 3 minutes.
So I'm sorry if it appears wasted time to speak twice to you.
It's not.
I was not prepared to speak first. That was a placeholder. I wanted to speak after Kaipo and for him to establish the intent and need.
So here's your time.
Thank you. And for me to follow that and say that just in casual research, it costs as much as $35,000 per person for those who remain houseless in our community. It costs our community a great deal. Between the trash pickup, the DLNR, the extra medical costs, these figures have been amortized by people far more intelligent than I with numbers. It costs us money to have people houseless. Beyond their suffering, that should be established before me. With now, I want to establish that it costs us more money. It costs as little as $14,000 to $18,000 to put people in low-income housing. I cannot find the facts and figures for Safe Park because it's not done regularly. I would establish that at a much reduced cost to that, as little as $2,000 per person per year, I would be able to establish where we would be able to establish where people would be, I'm going to say for sake of argument, out of harm's way. Out of sight for some, that's not how I perceive this. But there's a lot of benefit for people not living on the bike path with inadequate access to all of life's needs. And the last piece I really wish to hammer home is that as a provider who's now done this for 4 years in our community, I can tell you absolutely beyond shadow of a doubt, I'd love to get figures from Wilcox to their recidivization rate for my medical patients. I call them beach legs. living proximal with dirty environment and no hygiene, and nomadically having your stuff cut apart and taken away, move on to the next place and reestablish yourself from the dirt up again, leads to massive amounts of infections and problems that cost not only a great deal of suffering for these folks, but also for our community to have to pay for those things through ER visits. So my workplace is more than happy to sponsor me in reducing those medical costs in our community. But think of this, all of our service providers who are there to try to reach out and help these people get out of that situation and get reestablished in our community to better our community, can't find their people. I have so many anecdotal stories of people who are on housing lists, which are years sometimes. They're on housing lists for 3 months, 6 months, and they go without their phone because they're houseless and their whole camp was torn down while they were gone and they don't have phone. And that's when they got the call for housing. Twice, within 3 days, they get a call. They're off the list if no answer. Start over, they're told. How are they ever going to get out of that situation? If we have established places and established providers that see these people, I conjecture that we can't even give you the math yet on how much we can assist this community in getting out of this situation and reducing your cost, your burden. And I'm just going to end it with the tourists seeing our folks on the beach. Everything, all the stages would be.
Clarifying question, Councilmember Hollins.
Thank you again for making it here today. You speak about the safe parking, and a lot of people, we've received a lot of testimony about it is a start. It's an immediate start, and I think we could actually do that very quickly. Yes. But my question is, with your experience with the homeless community, how many people, what percentage, can you give me a rough estimate of what percentage you think that would help? Because I've been really thinking more around a safe sleeping area that includes things for people that don't have cars as being urgent, because I'm not sure how many people could, of that percentage, if you have.
So,
you can come sit too. You can come sit here.
just speak with me for a moment.
Yeah.
We're working on project.
I know you are.
Yeah, so that really depends on how much.
Just tap your mic right there. There's a little dot right there. Yeah.
Got it. That would really depend on how much, land we can get, and right now that is our biggest obstacle, is getting the
How
land.
much land are you looking at?
We're
We're
working on
looking at
staged
least
different
5
plans.
acres.
5 acres.
Yes.
Okay.
With the right allotment, we would be able to have, we've already got feelers out and interest that there are public parking places that are unused for overnights.
Right, like Vidina Stadium.
Right.
Right, like that would be a very large
Where we
parking,
Yeah.
which we would be able
Just
to
like an
serve.
overnight thing, but
Right,
you have to
for
move
the
everything
overnight.
every day.
Very, very.
If you had a
Probably
fixed
start
location,
really
you're
fast.
saying 5 acres, like a fixed location would be roughly.
Just asking question.
Right, there would be bands that would be public sector, that would just be safe park where we would allow
You have a
porta potty and such, but a later stage or a bigger stage of the plan would be for us to have parcel acreage of either what our nonprofit could retain and own so that we could build permanent structure to allow the transition of people out of houselessness.
Right. Okay, so 5 acres, and then, because I'm meeting with the state in like 2 weeks about trying to ask them for land, what other features?
There's a site we like that's 14 acres right now.
Okay, can you send me the details on that specific site? Because that's what I'm missing. Okay, and then,
Be a dream come true. It's right next to the recycling center.
It's
Oh
in
my
the back of
gosh,
the
we could
record.
recycle lives.
okay,
and
yeah,
our
can you
cars.
Yeah.
re-email me that information? And then, whatever other features I'd like you to just answer, and you don't have to do it now, it doesn't, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but in that email, just also include the other core features of the property, like access to water.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming that we need a few basic things, but I'm gonna try to get a list of those places that the state's open to, but the county doesn't own as much property. So,
Right.
so anything you can share with me,
Okay.
and thanks again for making it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Clouden.
Yeah. Is the property that you're looking at, do you know who owns the land?
Grove Farm, I believe.
Grove
That's the Ahukini Business Plaza. That's the 14 acres right now that we were kind of looking at.
Okay.
5 of
But
them.
we also are looking at a property out in Kekaha, which I believe is DLNR.
Yeah, and there's a number of properties I'm looking at too, so.
So that one, I think the one out in Kekaha is like, what was it,
I
10
don't know.
acres or something like that?
That one had,
But, yeah,
there's a lot of different, so
So
this,
I have a question.
yes.
I believe we need safety zones, so that's where people can stay. They don't have to leave every day.
Right.
Because that's the destabilizing
Right.
thing. If you have a place you can sleep at night and you leave, it's done.
Right.
I believe we need about 3 of them in different regions.
Yes.
Because
At least.
people go to school, go to work,
Yes.
they can't all live in Kaua.
Right.
So are you working with the KCA group, the group that has the coalition of all the providers, including the continuum of care? Because
We have access to them.
okay,
do.
So we
not exactly.
we do
yet.
we work with them every
We
day.
work with them all the time.
Okay,
So once we had an established plan, we
We work
have
with them.
access
Go
to
to them,
all
yeah.
of both in personal and professional collegial relationships. We have access. So I work with HHSC and
so I'm happy.
We're looking
because
for full-time
We have to keep
outreach.
it tight, the questions. Please contact me, fcow@kauai.gov, or you can write all of us, council members. But we can work with you and want to work with you. But this is ultimately, the administration gets to make the call right now. It's the mayors, it's not the council. So I think many of us on the council are on that page. We
Okay,
can't just do it.
Kino did email us, so you can always email her questions back also.
Yes.
But again, you had a question?
Just a quick one.
Councilmember Cooley.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, of course, if you're already, because this is to increase the grant program that is managed by our housing
Yes.
agency, and we do have a homeless coordinator, Farah Aquino.
Yes.
Wanted to make sure you're already working with her.
Yes.
And that, I know later today, we'll probably still be in budget, there's the Kauai Community Alliance meeting.
Yeah.
So, which is a coalition of all the nonprofits that
Right.
we work together with to get stuff like this done.
Yeah.
So you're part of or joining the Kauai Community Alliance?
I
Working
will
with
reach
those.
out to Farah and.
Project Vision, YWCA, a lot
Yeah.
of organizations.
So, I mean, we work closely
Have
with
big
them. It's
charities.
just we're not necessarily
Yeah.
a part of it. Just
Well, and you're trying to address something that hasn't been addressed. So thank you very much.
Okay, any further clarifying questions? If not, thank you. I think we've got a little far away from clarifying questions.
Sorry.
but- No, thank you.
you for
Thanks for
your
the
time.
testimony.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify? Yep. So, state your name for the record, sit in the middle. You'll have,
I've never done this before,
yeah,
obviously.
you'll have 3 minutes, and then I think almost everyone used their entire 6 minutes. No one else wants to speak again, you'll have another 3 minutes.
Great. I'm Judith White. I'm a mental health professional in the community. I've been here providing psychology and therapy and mental health consultation for about 25, 26 years. And I'm here just to put in, I'm sorry I was late, and I would have liked to hear all of the previous testimony because that's the issue that I want to provide some testimony on, as well as for the safety zones from a mental health and also from a budget standpoint. I've worked long enough to understand the connection between unsheltered, unhoused folks and mental health needs, and it's powerful. And I also know that there are housing, stable housing is the #1 element that helps our all individuals, but especially individuals with significant mental health issues. I've seen it just so many times over the years that I've done this work. And while safety zones are a kind of a stopgap measure, it's a step, I think, in the right direction. And it's, I pulled up, if you're interested, I have kind of a compilation of the latest research that looks not just at the human need, which is important and from the heart, but really at the cost, that the initial investment, while it might seem pretty significant, the long-term savings in dollars and in human dollars is really significant. And it's, I believe it's the right thing to do from a citizen and taking care of our fellow citizens, but I think it's also the right thing to do from a budget and a dollars standpoint. And so I'm very strongly in favor of this. I'm happy to provide any for free consultation, and that's it. So I think it's a great idea, and I really hope that it goes forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, anyone else in the audience who didn't use all their time? Yep. Testifying for the first time.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yelena Oakman. I'm over 20 years resident of Elua Homesteads. I'm the mother. I'm a real estate agent. And I'm very grateful to see that this issue is being brought in because I've been continuously asked. Through all my career, I've been continuously asked if I do have a rental property, if I have affordable housing, if I can recommend somebody. And I feel like if you won't help people, they end up like this in the streets, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I see moms with kids, it's really, really, really difficult. And plus, as a mother, it's not safe. It's not safe even to walk to the beach sometimes, even though we love people who are there, but it creates this turbulence and also gives us a sense of that our community is not thriving. And I know so many people who are happy to help and step in. If you need to build, if you need to bring volunteers, if we have a project, the Board of Real Estate Agents can bring a lot of realtors. We've been going to Habitat of Humanity, and if you need any help, we're very happy to step in. And thank you so much, and thank you for stepping people who came here, and especially the person who testified after 6 years of being homeless. It's just heartbreaking. Thank you very much, and I hope we can find a way how we can resolve it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify? Seeing none. While the rules are still suspended, our first group up is transportation. So can we get the transportation agency out? Celia, maybe just go through your synopsis, and then we'll ask questions on that, and then we'll head into the budget.
Celia Mahikoa, Executive on Transportation. I have with me, go ahead and intro.
Aloha. Leonard Peters, Assistant Executive on Transportation.
Winnie Hefner, Accountant.
All right, thank you. So we'll just go over the major items of note, and then enter to any questions that you may have. Just in general, overall, the operational challenges that we've been encountering, like many and like most, is just personnel shortages, which have forced the continuation of no Sunday service for the Kauai bus, of which we are extremely regretful that needs to continue. However, until we can get a sufficient enough of drivers and dispatchers within our team, we'll need to continue in this current service level. As far as the larger items we have going on that have been prompted through the past several years of getting grant awards related to the electrification of the fleet. We have just initiated the groundbreaking for our base yard to expand and include the electrical charging requirements to charge the electric buses that we have placed in service in January. We're extremely grateful for the assistance that we've been provided by the other departments within the county, within Public Works, assisting us with locations to charge with portable chargers, meanwhile, until we can get the construction and the installation completed for the charging stations at our own facility. Let's see, we've also been adding to the capacity of our electronic fare payment systems that was implemented last January, and been able to bulk up the capabilities available there just to make it a much more seamless and simple process for riders, for the bus riders, just making it far more convenient for those individuals who regularly or just intermittently use bus service. Individuals who visit from the mainland are able to look up the information necessary and to download the fare payment methods that they prefer and come in. It's extremely convenient for them. And then beyond that, we're just looking at continuing with the expansion of the base yard to be able to sufficiently service our electric buses as well as the rest of our fleet. I'm extremely grateful for our outstanding team who has been just making the most of it. The difficulties that come with trying to carry out a construction project while still maintaining the same level of service and taking care of the daily requirements for transit operation, that they've just been outstanding. The flexibility and just taking care of what needs to get done to keep the service going well for the community. And we're just grateful for all the support from our riders, from the leaders within this county. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and speak with you today, and just request any questions you might have.
Councilmember Cowden, Kuli, then Council Chair Opozo.
I'll just start with my first question about ridership. Have you seen an increase in ridership, decrease, staying flat?
There's been a slight increase. It's been coming up since the COVID drop in ridership. It's been coming back slowly but surely. And we definitely see that there would be a reasonable jump in that should we get to the point, or when we get to the point where we can add back Sunday service as well.
And I know you have a program for people at risk or unhoused, different challenges. What's the name of that program, and how is that going, and about how many passes do you give out?
We're provided $170,000 a year to distribute to the various agencies who serve the population who is in need for that assistance. Get you the total passes. There are various types of passes that are issued to the agency as they request what their needs are. But basically, we allow the agencies to define what the needs are for their population that they serve, and then we distribute to them. So we can follow up with actual counts.
And that totally gets consumed, that 170,000.
Yes.
Okay. I know other people have questions.
Councilmember Kuli has a follow-up
on the first item. Yeah. So ridership. I think it's probably the biggest item, right? I actually think you should think about making that a part of your basic presentation. Just some chart or something that shows us ridership in general. But along with the thoughts on ridership, I know you talk about like new systems, right? Like you have an electronic
fair payment.
Fair payment. That's what it's called. Does that electronic fair payment also help you with the ridership data counts? Because it would be interesting. You probably have it all, but I don't think we've seen it. If you could share with us the details on, by route, by time of day. So, I mean, often we hear complaints from the constituents about, I see all these buses driving around half empty, and that's the beauty of the other side too, of making sure our most needy folks get passes at discounts or maybe even free for the ones who qualify for other programs, because we want to fill the buses, right? I mean, it's a big investment, but the data, I'm hoping the data is so in-depth now that you can give awesome ridership reports, if you will.
Yeah, we can pull that data.
So I'll probably send something in writing specifically of like maybe how to lay it out and all. And then since you talked about two different items, I'll also follow up on the 170,000. So that started several years ago. You and I worked on it together. I proposed, and this council supported it, a pilot program. And we started, I think, with 25,000 or 35,000, and it was so successful with the interests of the nonprofits that it's now at the point of 170,000. When we get to that line item, I'll get in more detail, but I'm looking to potentially, and I'm wondering if you'd be open to it, making sure that we're hearing back from all, and I know it takes some follow-up work, and from my office I'll do some of that follow-up work as far as if the need is greater and the nonprofits have wait lists, that you would be open to us raising the budget to even reach more people, because, you know, we want to fill up the buses too. So you would be open to that, right?
We'd be open.
Thank you, Chair.
Council Chair Raposo, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You know, I am inquiring about recruitment efforts. The goal, obviously, is to have 7-day-a-week transportation for our people. And since 2023, we've had no Sunday service, and that is a big part of it. And we're spending a lot of money on enhancing a 6-day bus service. But what efforts have we made in targeted recruiting for drivers and dispatchers? You know, the police officers were in here, the police department, and they spent, I don't know, $100,000 or whatever it was. But the numbers of applicants was remarkably increased. And are we considering, or should we be considering, a targeted campaign to recruit drivers and dispatchers? Because we need to, why is that color going crazy on this thing? We need to get back to 7-day service. You know, I think some of our people were forced to purchase vehicles because they rely on the transportation on Sundays because that's when their jobs or whatever. And I would like to see an effort being placed on getting back to 7 days on a sustainable basis. You know? So is that something that, are we doing anything extra for recruiting, or are we just doing the traditional send them out on Indeed, or I don't even know how we do it in this county?
I mean, it's been additional layers of challenge that have come in where we've historically brought individuals in who have no CDL license, and we've given them the training required to
right.
get
So the
it.
targeted campaign would be targeting CDL drivers, targeting truck drivers. You can do that nowadays, and that's what KPD did, and they're seeing some extreme success. So just a suggestion,
Okay.
because we need to get the bodies in.
Right.
I know a lot of people would want to come in and get CDL qualified, realize that's not what I thought. I thought it was easy to drive these things, and then they're not going to complete it. So let's try to do a targeted campaign on existing qualified people that may be interested. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Councilmember Carvalho.
In follow-up to Chair's question, the hiring of your on-call van drivers, right? And then that's been successful, and it transitions into the actual, right? So how's the numbers on that? I mean, in follow-up to that.
Yeah, I could provide you that. I don't have them with me, but it's typically successful, yes, thankfully.
Councilmember Kolisi.
So my follow-up question, and then I'll ask for something in writing too, but in your narrative, you talk about the need in order, we have to continue the removal of Sunday bus service. And it started in August 23, so we're going on 3 years now. But you said in order to get it going again, you used the term a net increase in hiring and training, 8 full-time bus drivers and 3 transit dispatchers. So you're saying that's in addition to filling the vacancies. And the vacancies, we have basically 12 bus drivers, 6 on continuous recruitment, 4 on 2 selections made, so at least 2 of the 12 are being filled. But with the need for 20, I think what Chair is saying is doing a targeted campaign and something beyond the van driver thing, because that's only netting us maybe 3 or 4. Well, how are we doing? Like, it's been in place for a while now, the van driver track, if you will, where you get them in as a van driver and you train them up to be a bus driver. About how many have we gotten per year?
Again, I don't carry those stats with me, but I can provide that with you. But I mean, I'm using the term net because meanwhile we have individuals
you still got to read the regular
jobs or retiring or just the natural flow of personnel.
And also difficulty in filling vacancies.
Just to clarify, you're saying filling 8 of those 12 vacancies would help you get that Sunday service back in, yeah?
Ideally, yes. Yes.
So you're not
We can
saying you need
sustain
to fill
that.
all of that plus another 8? Is it-
You're saying an additional 8
Yeah, yeah,
positions?
yeah.
No, if we can fill what we
So
have.
not an additional. And then the
Right,
last
right.
part of the question was, and I'll send it over in writing too, is that I think if you could give us some data on what the counts were for ridership on Sundays when we used to provide the service. And did we have it for a significant amount of time before we stopped it?
Sunday service?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 years or longer.
That was implemented in February 2011.
2011?
Yes.
So 11 years, 12 years?
Yeah, so we could get maybe 3 years data of the ridership on Sundays. Okay.
Councilmember Holland?
Thank you. Actually, Chair asked a lot of what I wanted to ask. I agree about the advertising, but could you send me whatever you guys are using as an ad right now and whatever it is? I want to help as Chair of Transportation. I don't feel like I do enough to support you guys. So if you can just send me whatever you've got as basic information, even if it's not graphic, I'll graphic it through my account and just continually start to push that because the Sunday service is so critical. And I know we've talked about it. So whatever I can do.
Councilmember Cowden? Mike?
This is a fresh question. I want to talk about our electric fleet transition. So we have 2 electric buses now. 4. That's right, 4, and they are running. They've been operating for maybe 6 weeks. How long has it been?
January 5th, I believe we started.
So almost 3 months.
Yes.
So how is it going? They look like larger buses?
Yes.
And how's the ridership on those so far, and what do the drivers tell us?
The ridership has been growing, particularly with the student population, because that's typically where the crowds or the overcrowding would occur, to where they'd end up having to wait for the next bus to come through. So it's been successful thus far, and people just are getting more familiar with what it offers, because the route for it is somewhat different from what the standard Kauai bus service has always been.
Anahola, Waimea.
Yes.
So when we have 4 buses, we have 2 going in each direction. I mean, how's it go? How do we use our 4 buses?
We use 2 buses per day. So we rotate them out to give sufficient time for the recharge and for the logistics involved in carrying out all of that. Plus, I mean, just as far as being low on the learning curve with this, I mean, we've had 3 months, yes, but we're still gauging what it takes to keep them going, to remain within levels of acceptably consistent service as best as we can.
And then the drivers, do they give you feedback? Do they like it? And are they staying charged up just fine for their whole routes, for the whole day?
Yes, thankfully, we've seen a very good battery usage, and a good portion of that is from the skill level of our drivers as they're applying it in operation. There are very efficient ways in which the drivers of these vehicles can operate, and thankfully they're being trained in that way, and they apply it very well. So we're seeing one vehicle can carry out a day's service, which is, I think that's 2 full runs, I believe.
And are the drivers happy? Do they like the buses?
Yes, there was caution naturally in the beginning. They were a little bit hesitant, but it's caught on very well, and there are many who are now very interested in wanting to get the training and licensing that's required in order to operate.
And this is the one that goes by the airport?
Yes, from the north side, it services the airport.
And the people are taking it?
Yes. And I can provide the ridership stats
And when
for
the
that.
chair spoke about presenting out, making videos on things, it might be good to put a video on this so people become more familiar with that route, and maybe we'll have more people taking it and more people taking it to the airport, and maybe next time I'll try and take the bus to the airport.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the write-up? Councilmember Puli'i?
Just one quick one. On the bottom of page 4, you talked about the second phase of the base yard expansion and additional fleet parking that includes significant structural improvement to the currently unusable water basin. Is it the plan to fill in that basin, and will that affect any flood control or in any way? With all the big rains and water needs to go somewhere. It hasn't served that function, has it?
Can I share? Leonard's been the project manager on this and just doing extremely well with keeping it moving.
So initially, the plan was to just take half the basin, but we found out it was more cost effective to take the whole basin and chamberize because of the cost of the retaining wall for half of that basin. So we're in the process of doing that, and the idea is to chamberize the basin and have it handle as much volume, if not more volume, than the basin is handling now. And that was kind of the idea, because rerouting that, especially potentially through the park, the soccer park, was going to be way more expensive.
When you say handle, you mean handle the number of buses that can park there, or the amount of water that can?
Both. We'll increase about 42 spaces for buses, and the volume of water is what the idea is. The same volume of water to go through those chambers.
I don't get the dual purpose, like, though, if the buses are parked there and then all the water, I mean, you can't have the buses there if it's going to fill with water.
Yep. The
Buses
chambers
are parked over it.
Yeah. They'll park over
that's
it.
what chamberizing
Yes, sir.
means.
Yep.
You cover it with a.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions on the write-up? Councilmember Calder? If not, we'll move into the budget. We'll move past the highway fund admin budget because there's no money coming out of the highway fund.
Well, it
For admin.
repeats later. So just tell us the page. Jeff.
Then we'll move to page 274, master. It's an admin account funded by the general excise tax fund.
Just a quick question.
Councilmember Kuli'i?
There are no vacancies and none recent since the March 1st vacancy report, or any anticipated in the next few months, 3 to 6 months, because of coming retirement?
There's pretty much constant movement at our agency, so yeah, I apologize. Within a month or 2 months from any information provided, there would be changes, but I could provide.
These 5 positions are filled. Page 276. 276 is.
Oh, the 5 in admin. That's
admin.
correct.
We're
Yes.
starting with admin.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Calder? Mike? Oh.
I wasn't asking a question.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, there was at one point, but I answered it. That's why but I realized it's just coming from GET. That's why we dollar funded all the rest of it.
The highway fund was dollar funded. Everything here is funded through GET.
It
Right.
comes up again with dollar funds, with actual funds budgeting.
Yes, so that's what I had looked at first, then I turned the page and figured it out.
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Kuli'i?
I mean, I just have different items. I'm going to
Yeah.
stop after I ask one question in
No,
case
keep
anybody
going,
has a
keep going.
follow-up. So
Someone can
the
flag me
line,
down if they have
the
another
line item that is consultant services,
Yes.
it's flat, 183,627. Project management and tech support. What is this? Is this some kind of annual contract for IT or?
That is primarily we're utilizing it as matching funds for the grants that we receive to carry out the design and engineering and other professional services to get the construction project completed.
Uh-huh.
and all of the associated expenses with that.
Okay, and I have a different item.
Yep, go ahead.
I think the last, on this page is the advertising line item, so 180,000. And so this is 170,000 of that is what we were talking about, the bus pass program.
Yes.
So the description, the first two lines is for the 10,000, and then the description of the 170,000 is outreach, low-income bus pass programs. But at this point, it's sort of turned into a almost like a grant and aid program. So you know how this line item is advertising? Wouldn't it be more appropriate if we just called it grant and aid for that 170,000? Because you're not actually giving dollars, but you're giving the value by giving either full bus passes or half off the bus passes. Is that how it's working?
Basically,
Yeah.
The funds are being awarded to these nonprofits.
Yeah, but you award it as a credit, and then they come back to you and they get X amount of bus passes.
Yes.
And you know, when they get X amount of bus passes, are they entitled to just use their credit and get the passes they need, whether it's senior, youth? Because the bus passes have different prices, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they can buy the ones that there isn't a price, though, for low income, right? There's a price for seniors and there's a price for students, but there isn't a price for low income, if you will.
No,
That's why this program is meant to kind of help with that.
Right. We rely on the agencies to carry out that function.
Absolutely. Perfect. And then as far as this 170,000 and this line item, is there somewhere else in the budget where you account for the lower, because individuals come in and buy their bus passes directly as well, right?
Yes.
So if a senior comes in and buys it at a lower rate, or a student comes in and buys it at a lower rate, you're not trying to backfill that to the full cost by charging it somewhere else?
No.
No, just the low income. Just this program.
This program, if individuals come in and state that they can't afford to buy it at the price of which it's defined within the county code, we refer them to the agencies.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Yes.
So you're not selling it over the counter, but you send them to and there's like 20 agencies right at this point, so.
Yes, I believe.
We have a lot of different ways. Yeah, because I think what we talked about how was you don't want to be responsible for making the criteria, and you're just trying to get bus passes out there.
That would require more staff.
So as far as you can tell, it's working well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the
Councilmember Cowden.
Can you just, because we are on television, you know, people will see this, can you say which towns, because I believe like you can get them in Kilauea, you can get them, like you can go to these places and pick them up, right? So do you know offhand where people can get them? Because sometimes, like we've had testimony from people who are unhoused and maybe without a car, if they think they have to somehow get into Lihue, I know Shared Blessings, for example, in Kilauea gives them away. So, and which towns are they available? Do you know?
Oh, that's one piece of information we did not list on here, but it's basically whichever ones had applied and we awarded to.
Okay.
So we can assemble that
Okay.
information
And
for you.
And that might be another thing that's good to put on the like if there's a little bit of a video or something, although most people who don't have a card certainly don't have a TV. But they
In
might
our
have-
follow-up from you last year, April 7th, 2025, you provided us a list of like 15, 20 of those nonprofits. Perhaps most of them are headquartered in Lihue, but some of them probably have satellite offices or services elsewhere. So the 170,000 is broken down by American Legion, Catholic Charities, Child and Family Services, Easter Seals Hawaii, Aliopio, Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, Hawaii Self-Advocacy Advisory Council, Ho'olalahui Hawaii, I know they're in multiple locations, Ho'okipa Kauai, Kauai County Housing Agency Homeless Coordination, Kauai Planning and Action Alliance, Lihui Kortano, Malama Pono Health Services, they recently shut down, Pa'alima, Share Blessings, Thrift Shop, the Salvation Army, United States Veterans Initiative, Waimea Canyon Middle School, PTSA Women in Need, and YWCA Kauai. Of course, they're not necessarily all places with counters that are serving the public in general, because I think primarily they're probably trying to help their clients, if you will. But people can go to any of these places knowing that if they could seek services through them, they could have bus passes available. And what we've been trying to do is make sure year after year that these places don't have long wait lists. That they're able to help more people. They would be able to help more people if they had more funding. And that's why in just 3-4 years, it's gone up from 35,000 to 170,000. And you've all voted on that and supported it, so thank you.
Councilmember Bulasan?
Yeah, just follow up. When you award these, does it get announced aside from our normal PR? Is it possible, or have you guys used because you have the Quiet Bus website and the announcements. Do you guys ever use that as the, hey, if you need help?
I'm trying to recall if we have, but if not,
because I know the agencies will do their reach out too. But I think that might be a good partnership to reach more people.
Any other questions? We're still on page 276. Not, we'll move on. Any questions on page 277, which is the last page for the admin funded by GET?
These aren't consecutive right here. Okay, fine.
The master page 277.
Is it staying in numerical order at this point?
Maybe these get out of order a little bit because we put admin all together and operations all together, so that we're not going like admin general fund or admin highway fund.
Just call out the pages we go. I might have got mixed up again.
I have a question.
If not, we'd be going admin operations, operations. Right now, we get to look at just all of admin, all of operations, even though it's
out and all adjust.
Councilmember Cowden.
On page 277, when it says automobiles, 1.5 million, so that's replacing 15 buses?
These are matching funds for the federal funds we're provided to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we don't ask for the full amount to replace 15.
Okay, because I was going to say, boy, that's a deal.
Right.
So, how much is the cost of a bus?
How much are they running now? 500,000 to 600,000 for the cutaways, diesel cutaways that we've historically purchased.
And then the electric is over $1 million, yeah?
Yes.
Like 1.3, if my memory is correct?
1.2?
1.2. So 500 to 600, and then when we replace 15 buses, it doesn't break it down if some of those are the paratransit buses. So we just kind of collecting them all together there, right? And so how long does a bus usually have a life cycle for?
Yeah. The useful life that we typically get from them usually averages out about 5 years, but we can get up to, say, 6-7 years out of them sometimes, depending on how they're rotated out.
And we auction them when we're done with them?
Yes. Yes. The electric buses have a useful life, I believe, is it 12 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on page 277? Or any other questions for the admin budget?
Page.
We're on 277 right now.
After 277?
The next page is 258.
Okay.
Operations from the highway fund.
Nope.
And basically it funds a little bit less than half, 50% of just the bus salaries, bus driver salaries. Councilmember Cowden.
Just clarifying, the highway fund comes from people's car registrations? Or is
And
it
gas.
from gas? Both?
Yeah, all
Okay.
of that.
So it's good for people to know that they actually help to create this as well.
Okay, moving on, page 278, is a general excise tax fund, funding the operations of transportation. Councilmember Cooley.
280 now, right?
Yep, 280.
280 is where all the vacant positions are, 280 and 281. Start at the top. The first 9322, Transit Dispatcher 1, vacant 42 days. It's on continuous recruitment. Any, what's the likelihood of filling this position? How are we doing? To start on or before July 1st?
We have one who started earlier this week or late last week? And we have, it's in open recruitment right now. And I need to get an update on exactly where
So
we are.
the two is 9322 Transit Dispatcher 1 and 9439
Yes.
Transit Dispatcher 1 also.
Yes.
So you're referring to both of them?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next one is 10397 Automotive Storekeeper 1.
Yes.
78 days. The HR status on March 15th was no recent activity with HR. Since then, have you initiated a recruitment? Are you intending to fill this position by July 1st?
We're finalizing the description of this position to, one, more accurately describe it and to hopefully appeal to more interest for applicants.
And when you're doing this type of redescription and working with HR, how long does it take before you can actually open a recruitment and try to fill it? And then how long will that take on average? A few months? More than a few months?
It depends on how long it takes for us to get each step done. Yeah. But typically, once it's provided to HR, they keep it moving.
Well, follow-up question on that position.
Can you tell me what a storekeeper 1 does? What is that job description?
They are they handle the inventory management, the work order.
For the materials.
Documentation for the many parts and supplies that it takes to keep the vehicles in operating condition, as well as the other facilities that we have, bus stops and
so they basically are like your purchasing, your parts distribution. They work with the mechanics.
That's correct.
They don't work with the public. Like a storekeeper sounds like somebody who works retail, but this is like your mechanic.
Right, primarily mechanic. They work with vendors as well extensively, but primarily mechanics.
Okay, and it looks like we're going to hear from HR.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, good morning. Janine Raposo, HR Manager. This is more in response to Councilmember Kuali'i's question. The transportation agency is exempt from civil service, and therefore their hiring process is a little quicker than the regular civil service system, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Cooley.
Yeah, the next position is 9314, Administrative Assistant 1. It's a brand new vacancy, but you had a posting that closed on March 18th. So did you get applicants? Are you interviewing?
Yes.
Where are you at?
Can't remember the number. I know it was over a dozen, and we have interviews set up from next week through the end of the month, after which time
we have a very high chance of filling that before July 1st.
Thankfully.
The last non-bus driver position is 9457, Automotive Storekeeper. That sounds like the other position.
Yes.
Storekeeper 1.
There are two that are awaiting.
That you're working on both of those with HR.
Yes.
Okay. And the last is a group of bus drivers, and I'm just going to lump them together the best way I can. It looks like, based on your responses, of the 12, or the vacancy report update, of the 12 vacancies, two of them say selection made. So on both bus drivers selection made, they accepted your offer and they're starting anytime soon?
We had 2 individuals start. I think has it been about 3 weeks now? They've been in.
And then
we have 3 more scheduled.
4 are on continuous recruitment. How is that going then? How are you going to get? I mean, not 4, 6. How are you going to? You got the 2 successfully. How are you going to get the 6 more and with the continuous recruitment?
Yeah, we just continually accept applications. We'll group them, hold an interview series, and then hire several because it's very time consuming to train up the individuals from when they come in the door to being fully released to covering bus service on the public highways. But sorry, can I just add? We have 3 scheduled to start on April 16th as well. 3 drivers.
And those are beyond the last 4, which say continuous recruitment filled with short-term hire. Are those the van training program, or do they come up somewhere else?
No, the 3 that are coming up would be part of what is showing as vacant on here.
What is showing as what?
As vacant on the list provided.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Cowden.
Yeah, when it says short-term hire, are those like retired bus drivers?
Some are, but it's quite a few individuals who have just jobs elsewhere, or they are retired and want to
So they're
like a part-time job.
They're filling. Or do they have a regular schedule?
Not regular schedules. We call them substitute drivers.
Substitute drivers. Okay.
Just as needed.
All right.
Okay, any other questions on salaries? We'll move on to page 281. Any questions on page 281? Not page, Councilmember Cowden.
I'll just make the same comment that I've made, over a number of departments, is that we're having really big changes in our oil and fuel economy since the budget was made. So my expectation is that number might increase for our fuel costs in our supplemental budget. That's being considered. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because it seems like fuel's going up and probably will stay up.
Yes. Thankfully, with some of the transitioning to electric, we can anticipate some shifting in that, but naturally the electricity will need to increase at the time when the fuel's going down.
That's right, but the electricity will cost more. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Naturally, yes. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Not, we'll move on. Page 282. And 283 if there's no question.
I have a simple question. You've probably told us this before, but when we do repairs and maintenance, does that go to our main mechanics garage that's shared with other things, or do we have separate mechanics? We have separate mechanics for our buses,
That's
right?
correct.
So we have dedicated mechanics.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any further questions for transportation? That'll be it for their budget.
Thank you.
Okay. If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I had one more.
Oh, okay, we're not done yet.
Just a quick one. It's because it's not in the narrative, but along the lines of the bus pass program, I noticed that, and I was going to ask the housing folks too later, but so the Kauai County Housing Agency Homeless Coordination, so they're actually giving out bus passes too.
That's correct.
In the homeless community. So it's another way for people to come to the county to, not to the bus, but to the housing coordinator.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I have a
Councilmember
follow-up
Cawley.
on that one. So the continuum of care, which is Family Life Center, and I know somewhere I've gotten it like over near KIUC upstairs in a medical place. When we have people who are recently released from KCCC, can they get their bus passes anywhere, or I had to go upstairs to a medical clinic? I had to drive the person over there, upstairs in the medical clinic to get the bus pass. You guys don't really look at how any of these are to go out.
No.
All right, because that wasn't a real obvious or easy place. Like the person didn't have a car, wouldn't have worked out very well. So that's something that we have to work with the nonprofits to figure out. I think that's Catholic Charities maybe who puts, I can't even remember who it was, but we had to go upstairs.
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Cooley.
Just to be clear, the ones we're talking about is just the low-income ones. Any other passes, seniors, youth, they can get at any of your regular locations, including your counter itself.
Yeah, if they're paying for it, then yeah, they can. Right now, we still distribute it. Hanalei, Big Save, Kilauea, Mini Mart, out west side, Waimea, Big Save.
All the regular outlets.
You know, the beauty of the mobile fare system is they can purchase and do it all on their phone as well.
Adding to the card kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. So cool. I'm going to ride bus in my retirement.
You can drive the bus.
I'll be
Positions open.
I'll be climbing curbs.
Do your duty, Vice Chair.
Any further questions for transportation?
Thank you.
If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have housing.
Oh, you got me driving buses. What is up, you said?
Housing.
Oh.
Hey, Adam. Maybe if you just want to give us a brief overview on your synopsis, and then we'll ask questions on it, and then we'll go into the budget.
Hello, everyone. Adam Reversi, Director of the Kauai County Housing Agency. Thank you, Committee Chair and members. Our budget is relatively flat compared to last year. The ask is essentially the same. As you know from our CIP discussions, the bulk of the housing agency's actual working budget is now classified under the CIP and the project funding. And quickly touch upon I believe when you received the administration's budget at that time, we had 4 vacancies. We're already working to fill 2 of those. Those are all in our Section 8 division. And they were, to be blunt, intentionally left vacant because the federal funding for the Section 8 program has been chaotic, to be straightforward. All the regular deadlines where we typically receive annual confirmations of the amount of funding that we'll receive have not been followed. So we've been receiving conflicting information from the Trump administration versus what Congress is actually doing. So last year, the Trump administration had proposed significant cuts to the Section 8 program and the complete elimination of the CDBG program and the home program. So we were very uncertain about the level of funding that we would be receiving. Ultimately, Congress did not follow that guidance and did fund the Section 8 program last year. But then the same thing happened again this year. The administration was asking for cuts, and we were not getting clear confirmations from HUD that we would be receiving the funding necessary. I believe that there is a Kauhale annual report on the governor's homeless programs website.
And the initial commitment was to have so many on each island. There's.
I don't know if there was ever an official.
Well, it was said.
But that's what his campaign video
It was
said.
said, yeah.
That's what his campaign video said, so I would assume that's what he meant.
Councilmember
Quick
Cooley.
question on the narrative on the bottom of page 2. This is my favorite section with all the operational highlights. So when you mentioned the Kilauea 50-acre and Waimea 440-acre, along the lines of, and you said total planned roughly 700 new homes. Along the lines of the Waimea 400, with only 40 of the 400 acres being dedicated to this affordable housing, does the master plan allow for maybe later additional acres, maybe another 40 acres for another chunk of another affordable housing type project? I know that what's planned now is kind of immediately adjacent to the housing that's already there. But if you go further along the foothills or just keep going west towards Kekaha from where this 40 acres is, in the future they potentially could be more acreage according to the master plan?
Yes, so at least very early versions of the, if you recall, planning did a master plan for the entire 400 acres, and then housing did a more specific master plan for a designated portion. But the overall project master plan does have an area designated to the west of the current housing project for potential future additional housing. I think it's in the near term intended to remain in community ag of some sort, but remain available for possible housing in the future. That's the highest elevated property, the least prone. It's out of the flood zone. It's not in the designated wetland area.
Thank you. I'll stop after any new questions so that there's follow-ups or others.
I actually had a follow-up before, just the last thing on kind of our unsheltered population. I know last night when I woke up from the storm at like 2 in the morning, of course, I thought about all those people. In the past, I have tried to get the county, get buses, go grab people. They're afraid to leave when they're in the storms because they don't want all their stuff taken. Does our houseless coordinator program currently have any storm outreach or any kind of elements of any of that?
So our staff, the county staff, does very little street outreach work. We don't have enough people to do that. Our current staff, we have a homeless coordinator and an assistant. Their primary job is to manage our supportive housing projects. And they self-manage the Kaua project. When it comes to outreach, they often do go to where if we receive complaints about areas or to the extent that we're working with people who are on the wait list to get into our supportive housing projects, they are going out into the community. Their primary goal when it comes to outreach is connecting with the nonprofit groups that we are helping to fund and being the bridge between a complaint that comes to the mayor's office or to council with the nonprofit organizations that we're providing funding to, so we can be sure that they are made aware of problem areas and issues and individuals that need help, because we don't have the staff or immediate services to hand out.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Holland.
Okay, I am wondering if you could provide, and it might just be that I don't know this, how many people we have housed in these different facilities and how much more phase 2 and the potential fourth, how many total people that when you started and none of the KLL facilities have been built, how many have we totally assisted? Do we have that number somewhere?
We submit an annual report to the state
Department
of Human Services, so I could provide a copy.
Yeah, could you share that with me?
Our most recent, I think it's a biannual or semi-annual report.
Okay, great, that'd be awesome. And then the money that you speak of related to the Ohana Zone program, is that a never-ending supply of money, or when does that cut out entirely? Because you're saying money from that is going to, we're still applying for that to cover.
We have an existing contract which expires at the end of this fiscal year. We applied for a renewal of operational funding for next year, but it's only 1 year's worth of funding. The Ohana Zone program, I would have to go verify what it is, but it has a sunset date.
Okay.
It's not intent. Whether they renew it or not, I don't know.
Okay.
It seems that on the state level, the administration was moving away from the Ohana Zone program and putting its funds in the Kauhale program, which, for better or worse, we are not
Receiving
to.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hulasan, Councilmember Kuli'i.
New question.
Okay. You had a question also, yeah.
I was just pointing because he's been raising his hand.
Okay, well, yeah, I've got Councilmember Bolasan, Kuli'i, Carvalho.
Go first.
Councilmember Carvalho.
No, mine was just more on what you mentioned, going back to the Safe Zones program, and then, we're working with the churches. Would you say that's a similar situation, or how can we bridge that, if anything? I mean, just in your thoughts. I mean, I just want to hear that portion, that's something that can work.
Well, if we wanted to do a better job helping nonprofits and community groups make this possible, I imagine it would be helpful if we did some preliminary legwork with the county attorney to understand the legal requirements and liability requirements. Do some of that work for them so that they know from day one kind of what an expectation is and what they need to be looking for, rather than have them try to invent the wheel themselves. I'm not sure what.
No, I just wanted to follow up on that to see if you had any open suggestions on that.
Councilmember Kuli'i.
The other question I had with regards to the YMF 400 is because we've been hearing from planning about, coastal erosion and managed retreat. So, and I would imagine that as part of the YMF 400, since it is county lands, that maybe some of those lands will be made available for the addressing managed retreat. And even though planning probably is the one leading that, because it's replacing homes for people, like leaving one home and trying to get into another home, do you think the agency might be part of that, maybe doing a pilot project of 10 to 15 homes for that purpose of managed retreat? And have you even started talking to planning about that or thought about that?
We have had some very preliminary conversations with the Long Range Division at Planning about utilizing these pending housing projects as relocation areas. I think what remains is just some of the details of does the county, and there were no real answers to this, it's more questions than answers. So if someone's at risk of losing a beachfront home and it's a benefit of public policy to help relocate them, do we pay them the entire value of their house and give them a new one for free?
And are they trying to go from an affordable home to an affordable home, or are they trying to go from a millionaire mansion just to something in higher ground?
So the financial aspects of how that all would work and where the funding would come to support it, we haven't worked through those details, because when we build out, as an example, we build out the homes at Limaola and we provide the construction financing to build the house, but then we still expect the homeowner to get a loan and pay for it.
Sure.
And not give houses away for free.
Yeah, so the support would be the land, if anything. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions on the write-up?
I got one more.
Okay, yeah, because I plan, let's finish up any questions on the write-up, then we'll take a caption break, and then we'll go into the
It's
budget.
pretty quick.
Councilor
The
Puli'i.
exciting new news about the acquisition of 150 acres. So I think your last thing says, will support the future development of the county's largest workforce housing development project to date. And I'm not sure, I was wondering what you meant by that. And of the 150 acres, I think you said, is it 90 that is buildable? I mean, some of it is gully and stuff, right?
That's our preliminary estimate, just based on looking at the maps. We're having detailed surveys done as we speak to understand exactly what the buildable space is, and that will be worked out as part of this escrow process. So I say largest, just comparing it to the flat buildable acreages of our other projects. Salima Ola is currently the largest at 75 acres. We're estimating this could be up to 90 acres of developable space.
Land
So
by
it would be
itself.
just as a
I was thinking of the largest as with the most units, and potentially it could be, right? I mean, and are you thinking about, because it's Lihue, to maximize the land by building more units, and maybe some of it goes up and looks like some of the multi-level projects that we already have, which, you know, I think are beautiful.
I mean, the preliminary assumption is that it would be a mix of both multifamily
Like
projects and single-family homes at an array of different price points.
Yeah.
So for every project, and this is a requirement of the 201H process that we bring to council, is we're required to do a market study that analyzes the economic need of the community and the different income levels and the housing need. And when we have to come to both the county and the state land use commission, and approvals of the rezoning is all contingent on our design kind of meeting or aligning with the market study, the reality. So we don't want to build something that doesn't match the reality of the need. We want the two to match, and the need for Waimea might not be the same as the need in Hui or the need in Kilauea.
Right.
So each one requires area-specific market study to determine the type of need, and we try our best to meet that, while at the same time meeting the desires of the community that's expressed through an array of public meetings.
So it would involve a master plan, right? There would be a master plan and all of that.
Yes.
Long way off still. Thank you.
Just one real quick follow-up, Adam, and I don't know if you can even answer this yet, but I would assume when the decision was made to purchase this property, the intent to build the number of units with wastewater capacity there in Lihue, we do have capacity.
Yeah, so this property that we're talking about would be connected to Puhi Sewer, not the county system. And we have had preliminary engineering meetings, multiple meetings with them to understand the capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on the write-up? If not, we'll take a 10-minute caption break and we'll head into the actual budget. So 10-minute caption break. Okay, welcome back. We're still on housing. We got through the write-up. Next, we're going to move into the budget. Do we have any questions on the housing budget? Councilmember Cooley.
On page 226, just very quickly, the four vacancies, you went over that in your narrative. Happy with all of that? Satisfied with that? Just to confirm, there's no other recent vacancies since this March 15th report, and none expected in the near future, in the next few months, or like maybe an anticipated retirement or an announced retirement?
We do have an anticipated retirement. Unfortunately, Carrie Bartos. Sorry. We do have an anticipated retirement, unfortunately.
The position is?
I have the names on a separate sheet. Just give me a second.
We already told her we're not accepting her.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the title of her position.
Carrie Barros, who is position 9552, she'll be retiring at the end of May after many, many years of fabulous service to the housing agency.
So is that a position you can fill from within with a promotion, or potentially be easy to fill on the outside, or is it a difficult?
We have a tentative internal promotion planned already.
Oh, so you have the successor plan. I think she mentioned something.
We do. And then we would potentially be looking to fill the position of the person who is succeeding.
That's right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other questions on page 226? If not, we'll move on to 227. Any questions on 227? The R&M building, that's for your offices here? The termite service, pest control, fire,
yes.
Security service, air condition, maintenance?
Yes, all other projects, management offices, they have their own separate budgets.
Oh, this is the first time you have these items in here?
I would have.
Or was it coming out of somewhere else?
I believe this is the first time. I would have to get back to you as to exactly why, if you need.
Is that an accounting? I mean, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to have some in parks, I guess now, is the building maintenance and
like, yeah, air condition maintenance is kind of.
So we have some, just looking back at what's been done in our office recently, larger things, like where there's a flooring and painting project happening now that's funded by Parks, not through my office. But when we've done some smaller projects, like we had to replace our kitchen counters, that came from our internal budget. I couldn't tell you what line item it came from. That was a couple of years ago. We had to put up a partition wall and a new door. That came from our internal budget. So I think this is smaller internal repairs.
Can we ask finance about this? I don't know if Ken can answer that, or I'm not sure how we decide what R&M costs stay with the office versus in one department. I don't know if that's a finance question, or it's very hard to track these expenses when they're scattered all over the budget. And is that something? No, he cannot. No. Okay.
We'll send it as a follow-up.
Yeah. I mean, it would just make sense to have all of the R&M in one place. That it's not directed to you, Adam. You probably didn't even know it was there.
I can just offer as a practical matter that we tend to do small things, and we turn to parks or buildings for big things. Maybe it's just they don't want to be bothered with our small projects.
Yeah, I understand, but for tracking purposes, for budgeting purposes, it's very hard to know what is the. I honestly didn't even know until we went page by page, because I don't read every page prior to the budget. But if I wanted to get an idea of what we spent on R&M as a council member, hey, I want to know what we spent last year on R&M, and I go to the parks budget or the buildings, and you can get it, but if there's all these little pockets of money all over the place, it's so hard to track.
I guess, just for me, it looked like stuff that would be recurring type expenses. So that's why I was curious why it wasn't in here before, like termite service, pest control service, air conditioning, maintenance. But if they're just a one-time cost for some reason this year, I can kind of understand, but it was, kind of weird to see those type of services, which you think would be like just annual maintenance type stuff.
It's my preliminary understanding that, I thought those recurring services were paid by parks in the past.
So the decision was made to move it, and I guess that's the question, why? And I don't know how you track that, but.
Any other questions on page 227?
Well, just a quick, yeah.
Councilmember Cooley.
So there was all the discussion about the grant and aid, but I just wanted to make sure. So if there was action to increase the funds there, and you wouldn't be opposed to that, and also to potentially asking for a part of that fund to be earmarked or given like first priority, if you will, to the safety zone idea. Keeping in mind that if there wasn't valid, award winning, if you will, because they have all the criteria where they figure out what would work and what wouldn't, grants, then the money would go to all the other purposes. I think the interesting thing about that would be, it would be good, and I'll follow up in writing, if they would, the person managing the grant would provide, we have the grants, how they were distributed the last couple of years, and it's only been in place 2 years now. If they would provide what is the criteria and scoring measurements that they use to award the grants. And then maybe through that, they could be implement, including something that makes sure some of that money goes towards the immediate. I guess if we would be adding money, that would be for that purpose if possible. So you would.
So all of that information is provided in detail in the request for proposals. So it lays out the scoring system.
Yeah.
We have, it hasn't been finalized and published yet, but we using a draft homeless strategic plan. So we have a 5-year draft homeless strategic plan that University of Hawaii is helping us develop based on best practices on other islands to help us guide our expenditures of funds. We specifically worked on that plan so that we would have guidance in issuing these grant and aids. So, like I say, it hasn't been finalized and published, but we are utilizing the draft language from that plan in the request for proposals to highlight the areas that the plan is calling for. And to my memory, and I would happily provide a copy of the actual request for proposals. But I do,
especially if it changes each year. Then
I do believe that safe zones were one of the things called out as a potential project idea in that plan, but we didn't receive any proposals.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on. Page 228. The last page for the housing department. The next pages are questions on housing programs, Kalepa and Pa'anao.
So page number 326.
So we'll keep moving. Page.
Question on
Councilmember Cowden.
Looking at these special projects. And so the home loan program, that's what we kind of agreed on pretty recently. That's where we have the revolving fund. Is that correct? The $750,000.
That's been in the budget, I believe, for the last couple of years. So to clarify, the 211 account is funded by federal income on loans that were issued following Hurricane Iniki. So I can't remember the acronym, but the housing agency received, I want to say it was close to $40 million in special NHP. I could be misstating the acronym, and I don't even know what it stands for. It was a large pool of federal loans that were provided to the housing agency that were given out after Niki. So as those loans are being paid back, the revenue from those federal loans all go into this 211 account and can be expended on the allowable purposes from the federal program. So we have the potential to use these funds for these items. Don't always have For example, one that we have been using it for a significant amount lately is for the buybacks. That's also a permissible use of the Housing Development Fund, but because we have these funds that have restricted uses, whereas the Development Fund can be used for a much wider range of uses, when we do have buybacks, even though we could use the 512 account for that, we use the 211 account. And then the funds, so we would buy back a home, we would fix it up, and when we resell it, the proceeds of the sale go back into this account.
I see, okay. Thank you. It's kind of complicated.
So residual federal funds from quite a while ago that will eventually all vanish as all the loans are paid off, and there will no longer be any income in this or coming into this account. So it will, over time, unless we do nothing but loans that revolve, it will eventually go away.
Councilmember Cooley.
The last item on that list, the KEO rehab costs and engineering plans. So is this 470,000 representative of the first efforts towards the bigger thing you told us about?
Yes, so we engaged G70 to do the concept plans and the required environmental studies. And we had hoped that we would complete that and move on to actually developing construction and engineering drawings so that we had a shovel-ready project, but we haven't gotten into the contract for the actual construction and engineering plans yet.
Right.
But that's what that is referring to.
Thank you.
Any other questions on page 326? Not, we'll move on. Housing Revolving Fund. Page 346. Any questions on that?
If I could, just for quick context, so if you recall last year, the bulk of the Housing Development Fund, the 512 account, was all moved to CIP. What you see here are prior year projects that were encumbered. So some of the 512 account money that was already allocated to projects or encumbered was left in what you're looking at on this page. The rest of it was transferred to the CIP project. So these are kind of the residual projects with encumbered funds from last year that are ongoing.
Councilmember Cowden? Mike?
So, just so I make sure I'm really understanding, this additional rental unit subsidy, that is what we passed probably 4 years ago, and that is so when people are trying to get a discount on their water meter, that's what that money is for, right? So we're able to pay the water department.
Correct. So the water, that's the largest expense out of that fund, but it covers an array of, I guess that is.
The facilities
when people voluntarily agree to develop what we defined as an affordable ARU, they can enter into this program, and we pay their facilities reserve charge for them, which is roughly $5,000, because by agreeing to enter this program, they first get a reduction on what the FRC charge would be from the regular $19,000 and something. Because it will be affordable, it's reduced to $4,900 and something, for about $5,000. And these funds pay that charge for people that have entered the program.
And this is it get used up every year, or is it just sitting there? It doesn't seem like too much of that has been used.
The first year that this program was implemented, I think we had 15 or 16 applicants. Since then, we've had 1 or 2 a year.
So somehow either people don't know about it, or something isn't working with it. The goal was to make it more easy for people to put an additional rental unit to be providing affordable housing in the private sector.
So just based on our anecdotal experience talking to folks that are considering doing this, the reduced rent that they were required to charge to be in this program to get the cut in their FRC charge doesn't pay for itself. It's not worth it financially if you think that I could rent my ADU at market rate. the difference in the amount of money they get kind of overwhelms the intended financial incentive of getting a cut on a reduced amount of FRC
So
charges.
it's the market difference.
If you had someone who wanted to build an ARU just for their mom or their kids who are moving home, who don't expect to make a lot of money on it, this program still could be attractive, and we could perhaps do a better job sort of renewing the advertising of the project. But for somebody who's just looking at creating a rental unit on their property, from a dollars and cents perspective, if you're not driven by some other greater sense of community giving back, this program does not make financial sense.
Okay, thank you. That's clear.
Any other questions on this? Not, we'll move on. Kalepa Housing. Any questions on Kalepa Housing? And then we have Pa'anao Housing. Any last final questions for Adam before we let him go? If not, thank you, Adam.
Thank you all.
Next up, we have Agency on Elderly Affairs. Hey, Emily, do you want to just go over your write-up, and then we'll ask questions on that, and then yeah, just a quick summary of it, and then after we ask any questions on that, then we'll go into the actual budget.
Good morning. You guys have copies or need copies?
We have copies.
Okay.
Just in summary, and yeah, just state your name for the record too.
Emily Ishida, Executive on Aging, Elderly Affairs. So thank you for having us. So our main focus of our ask of the $181,000 is we want to focus on our nutrition programs. This includes our home delivered meals and our congregate meal program and our in-home services, which are all essential services for Kupuna. So as you folks know, that the premise or the reason that we have our area agency on aging is because we want to mostly do three things. We want to prevent hospitalization, we want to keep people from nursing homes or long-term care, and we want to support caregivers. You know, we are in this generation now where our age, people that are our age are taking care of our children, taking care of our parents, and then also taking care of our kupuna, right, and ourselves. So we are in this, people are aging, as the demographic here in Hawaii, you know, we are in an isolated area, so if we can keep people outside of hospitals, it's better for everybody. You know, they are able to live happier at home independently, but we definitely need the support of caregivers for that. So this is where our home delivered meals, our congregate meal program is very important to support that. We wanted to highlight some programs, including our digital literacy program, our Kupuna Connections, and this is where we have Ken Dickinson coming down from the mainland, and he offers in-person training. We involve high school students, and that is where we work hands-on with the Kupuna to help them maintain the quality of life, educating them about digital literacy. With everything going with scams, it's important for them to be aware how to operate their own phones, computers. We help them to do that. Try to empower them so that they feel good about that and they are able to help themselves as well as their grandchildren. We hosted our first elder abuse conference. Thank you. I know many of you attended, so we actually are planning to do that this year again. Our enhanced fitness program, this is important because we try to prevent. So we offer these services where we're able to do our direct services, but we also really see the importance of prevention. So Manner of Balance, falls prevention. We have our enhanced fitness program. We also offer Zoom and in-person. Now we have our RCP program, which I know you folks are all very supportive and familiar with. So we have over 41 workstations across the island. And after, I put this report together, we realized they did over almost 25,000 hours of service. So that's pretty impressive. Thank you for all your support with those programs.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the write-up from the members?
Other than thank you.
Councilmember Cooley.
Yeah, it's not necessarily in the write-up, but I know, your delivery of services is amazing, and I know you have some staff that actually respond to individual kupuna when they're trying to seek assistance, and then you send them to the right places, or do you then sign them up for maybe a home delivered meal, or do you actually go that far, or is it more just referring them elsewhere?
Yeah, so our information referral specialists, they're the ones that if someone calls and is interested in any of our programs that we have, we send them to their house and they do an in-home assessment. That's where they have to meet certain qualifications depending on the service that we have, home delivered meals or our in-home services. We also, at that point, they're able to talk with them, meet with them, and make other referrals that our agency have that aren't just our necessary direct services. For example, we have Alzheimer's, we have a contract with Alzheimer's, we have adult day health, so they recognize whether any of these programs pertain to them and give them more information on that.
I would just throw something forward and ask if you would consider it, because we've seen now how our low-income bus pass program has grown, and like over in housing, they're taking advantage of that in addition to all our nonprofits. If potentially during your in-home assessments and you're trying to figure out what they need, their medical needs, their meal needs, whatever, if you could see if they could use help with a bus pass also.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Potentially you could even play a role in getting them the bus pass, because we could give you a budget and you could provide it.
Yes, for sure. That is one of their main parts of the components of their job, is to get that information and make those referrals for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll just follow up with that, and really to validate that that is happening right now. I was able to sit in one of those home visits with my mother-in-law. I was completely impressed with. They had two of your staff come up, and they went through everything. It was just incredible, the detail of which how these interviews are done. I mean, it's strategic, and yet, when you're 86 years old, you like talk story. They just were so accommodating and loving, I guess is the word. And I'm thinking, like, telling my mother-in-law, they probably have another appointment, right after yours. But no, and it was just a pleasant experience. And they coordinated everything, including the bus service that was available. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, they are amazing. They are our boots in the ground, the heart of our agency. Yeah.
Councilmember Holland.
Thank you. I want to follow up on the bus pass conversation. I think my mom went in the other day asking for questions about that, and I'm wondering where can kupuna go, particularly that may be low income, that are struggling with bus passes? Aren't there multiple nonprofits that are helping that, or who? I think I gave her the completely wrong information. So
yeah, so the bus pass information, I would have to check with Celia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For right now, our agency is doing assisted transportation, and that's through 3 of our providers, but that's only through medical appointments.
And that's the paratransit bus support, or
that is only with Koi Bus, but we have something called an assisted transportation. We have a contract with 3 different providers, and so they call us, and we make that connection, and then we hook them up with them.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, it's only to medical doctor appointments for now. Hoping to expand that, eventually if we have more money, but right now it's used just for those services.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I would support more funding possibly for helping kupuna get around with those kind of things and working between the agencies. Yeah. Thank you.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Yeah, no, I just want to, go ahead, sorry. The enhanced fitness program, and I've heard really positive comments about that from our kupuna, who really enjoy that. But you also have the Zoom option. you said?
Yeah.
Is there something, just one or two? How does it work?
I believe we have a couple of classes a week. Do you know how many we're offering right now? Or we went back to all full. Yeah, we were doing full. That came about because of COVID. I have to check how many we're doing right now. But I know that we were trying to transition back to full-time, but everybody got used to the Zoom method. And so we are trying to do more full-time classes. Yeah. Is the feedback you're hearing that they like the Zoom?
Yeah, very, very.
Okay.
No. They like that.
The in-person.
The in-person one. But if there's another option, but now I understand more about that. But really great program. I get good comments on that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know, to add to that, we're going to expand to line dancing.
Oh.
Yeah, and on a whole. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from members? Okay. We'll move into the budget. Councilmember Kuli'i.
Yeah, so master page 222, the 3 vacant positions, starting with the first one, 140 community service program assistant. You were in recruitment. The status says re-recruit, no selection made. So you're back in the first part of recruitment, or where are you?
Yeah, we actually have interviews set up for next week. So that is for our INR specialists. Those are the ones that go hands into the home and have those direct conversations with our kupuna.
Then the next one is a newer vacancy, 146 accounting technician. But you had that on continuous recruitment, so were you?
So we just made a selection for that.
Made
We're waiting to
selection.
hear back, yes.
Filled. Excellent. And then the last one is the one, that's a return rights position. So how does it work with that? You just fill it with the temporary person, or?
Yeah, right now we're having one of our staff, our INR staff, in the Kapa'a district TA into that position.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other questions on this page? Not, we'll move to the next page, page 223. Any questions for elderly? Councilmember Collin. Mike.
So you basically touched on that with the home delivered meals. That's a kind person who shows up once a week, every other day. How often do they come with the home delivered meals?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. So that's really a big gift. And it helps us to know if anybody falls or has a problem. I remember when we discussed this and needing to increase the number. How big is our wait list now? Did we cover our whole wait list?
We did, yeah.
We did. So that was my memory. So that is a really big accomplishment.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I'm thrilled to hear that.
Councilmember Cooley.
Just following up on the line item, because it's like a title, home and community-based services, and then it kind of breaks it down to home delivered meals, in-home services, assisted transportation, supportive services, transportation. Do you have numbers like how they broke down? During budget, I always like to see what makes up that 1.4 million. So how many meals, how often, and how many transportation, like how does that all break down? And you can follow up later, and I don't expect you to just throw all these numbers out now, but just provide a breakdown of what kind of impact we're making, how many people we're helping. And the majority, I know recently we were like,
I can give you
we put more funds because we wanted to make sure we were helping people and not eliminating wait lists and stuff like that the last couple of years. So.
Yeah. I can give you a general breakdown right now. So currently we have about 290 consumers that are receiving home delivered meals. And so a majority of that is from our contractor, Sammy Mahilona, which that has been receiving very positive feedback. They use a lot of organic foods, very healthy. Our consumers are really satisfied with that. And so that I think helped increase, as word got out and people heard about our agency. We also have Mom's Meals programs. That's where they send food from the mainland and it's refrigerated. They get a 10-day supply. And the good thing about both of these providers that especially Sammy Mahilona, they're very accommodating. So for example, they offer low sodium, shot diets, pureed, diabetic, vegetarian, renal. So a rider may a variety of meals to accommodate different people's nutritional needs. On average right now, our Sammy Mahilona, and for Mom's Meals, about $18 a meal. That's going up though, to $20, which is for the increase. Our congregate meal program was at $10 going up to $20, so doubling. Congregate meals is important because it supports the caregivers. It gets people out of their homes, congregating, learning about different, getting together in the community, keeping them active, right? Which is super important, as you folks know. We have our in-home services, which range from about $42 to $55 a service. So that includes personal care, respite, chore, and homemaker, and assisted transportation. We have 3 current providers for them. But yes, I can get you a breakdown with.
Okay, perfect. Mostly, a lot of them is with providers, so they provide it to you, so you can pass it on for the year. Thank you.
Councilmember Holland?
Do you have any lists of houses, kupuna? Do you keep track of how many kupuna come to you that may be unsheltered?
We have a database which we track the number of calls coming in, which I could get you a list of inquiries that we have when people call. But as far as, we don't keep track of people that are in houses or just more inquiries that come in through our office or on the phone.
Oh, okay, interesting. If there is any information that comes up on that, yes, please share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cooley.
Different items. So the granting aid line item, 59,900 last year, 60,000 this year, so $100 more. So just elderly service in general, 60,000 doesn't seem like a lot. So I'm wondering, what does this cover, and do you need more money to cover more and help more?
So we dedicated those to the 2 food banks on the island.
So you support the food banks supporting the seniors?
Correct, yes.
And that's been fine with that level of funding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Been successful.
Thank you, Chair.
We're very grateful for our contribution.
Any other questions for elderly? If not, we'll move on.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Hope the good word.
Next up, we have Office of the County Auditor. Very back of council.
But in here, it's just the council tab.
Yeah.
It's the last section.
It's the last section.
Yeah.
And it's a 20.
Reserved first.
Okay, so Jade, just give us an overview. I mean, it's only 2 numbers in there.
Excuse me. Jade Fountain, Tanigawa County Clerk. So currently, the county auditor position is vacant. We have it on recruitment with HR. And I believe it will be going on. I need to double check with Cody, but I believe it will be ongoing recruitment until we have a few candidates.
Hold on.
We also have in the budget, the auditor's office handles CAFR, so we have it budgeted for fiscal year 27, $355,000. That's for the external audit with NNK. And we also have in other services, as you've seen, just some extra money in case of change orders that we've experienced this last year.
hard to find auditors, and we got a number of applicants. When we're on continuous recruitment, we just basically have it out there listed, and then we see what comes. Last time I remember that we hired somebody to go prospect. That was the difference from the continuous recruitment.
Previously, we did try, HR assisted us. We did try and have it posted, and we did try and recruit. That we really weren't very successful. So we did hire a firm from Oahu who provided, for the lack of a better word, headhunting services.
Yeah.
For us, professional services.
Okay, I just was trying to think what's the difference between now and then, and that was my memory, so that's correct.
Any other questions for the auditor's office?
Just,
Councilmember Cooley.
just if we were coming around cycle and wanting to do that again, that's either pot of money could go toward that purpose. Or is it all spoken for?
Yes, I'd say it would be safe to maybe identify some funds, because the money in there right now for consultant services is specifically for the CAFR.
Fully for the capital. And in the 180,000 other services, that covers.
That would be for potential change orders.
We received a change order this past year, yeah, for the audit because of the delays. And we're still on that route of delays and catch up.
Performance. What do you call it when we?
The performance audit is in our council budget.
It's in our council budget. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Councilmember Cowden. Mike.
You might have just answered the question, because my memory is we've done at least 5 audits, performance audits, that we've contracted somebody to do. But it doesn't come out of this budget.
It is not in the auditor's budget, it's in the council
budget. Okay.
There's no auditor to implement a performance audit budget if we put money in it, so it's in our county budget. Yeah. Jade, we've been getting lots of questions on auditor. Historically, I was here when we went through the whole process of trying to interview and everything. Historically, how much did we spend on an auditor's office when it was fully staffed?
It was probably a little over $1 million.
So if we were trying to get an auditor in, we'd be spending $1 million just to have a body, an office, and whatever.
Yeah, body, staff to support the auditor, and in addition to that, we also had to rent space and stuff like that.
And then in the past, do you remember if that auditor went out for other services to get audits done also?
I believe so, yes. I think they did maybe 2 small ones, if I'm not mistaken, in-house, and then the rest, I believe
they contracted out. Okay.
So in essence, just to follow up on that, the performance audits would sort of be the same thing as what the auditor would go out and do.
Yes.
But the council would be deciding which, because we vote as a group rather than the auditor deciding. Or does the auditor come back to the council?
I believe the auditor, if there was a county auditor, the auditor would have, I think they'd solicit input, if I'm not mistaken, from the council, but ultimately the decision would be with the auditor himself or herself.
Council Chair Raposo.
Yeah, the way it's structured, the auditor creates an audit plan and presents it to the council. They can take recommendations or requests from the admin, from the council, from the public, but the total discretion of the audits being done rests with that auditor. That is the reason we had a difficulty, because we were trying to find an auditor that would do audits and not just be a contractor of audits. If we're going to go hire someone to be a contractor of audits, then it's a waste of money, because the expense that comes along with the auditor's position and office is tremendous. So, Ara, you bring up a good point. When we went through the interviews of all of these applicants, and I believe there were over 100 applicants throughout the years, we interviewed, most of them didn't even meet the minimum qualifications. The ones that came in were not at a level that could do audits. They could manage audits, but then you're defeating the purpose of having an audit office. So I'm hoping one day, if anyone out there knows of someone that is competent and qualified in doing government performance audits, have them call us, because we definitely want to see that happen. But to hire someone that will only contract audits outside, we can do that.
Councilmember Cowden.
I have a question. So I remember at one point, it was a charter amendment that added the auditor. Do you remember when that happened, roughly? Because I don't. 2008. Okay, and then so since that happened, there was an auditor for a few years, like 3 years, is that right?
I'm not sure how long.
Wasn't a long time.
It wasn't a very long time.
So we've all been getting calls about that, and throughout the time people say, like we don't have an auditor because we don't want to be audited, and that hasn't been accurate. That's what comes to me. So you may know this answer. It would take another charter amendment to remove that requirement. And has that been something that's come up to your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's been discussed, but I have not seen a proposal that actually, was provided to the Charter Review Commission.
Okay.
I think that's the problem. I mean, when you come up with a charter that says the county should have an auditor, everyone's going to vote for that. Whether how functional that position will be or how well it works at the county or what it costs, everyone's going to vote for that. When we come and say it's not working, it's cost the county a lot of money, we can do internal audits, we should get rid of it, I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think people will ever vote to get rid of an auditor in the charter. That's just my inkling on why no one's ever done it, because you're going to put it out there and people are going to be like, oh, they don't want accountability, they don't want this, when the other half is, the functionality of actually having it. We have it in the charter, but even if we had it, it might not even serve the purpose we want, so.
I think
Council Chair Opozo.
I think the councils going forward should always be striving to fill that position. I think the independent auditor is a good thing. But to fill it because the charter said you got to fill it, and you fill it with someone that cannot do the job, then you're defeating the purpose and you're costing the taxpayers money. So I would suggest again, and we're out there again. It's out there for any applicants, but to find someone qualified in government auditing and pay them what we're offering to pay them, it is very difficult. So unless the Salary Commission revisits their pay, go across the country, see what are these guys getting paid, and compare it with the market in Hawaii. It's not just a CPA. A CPA is a requirement, but it's not. You need to be familiar and versed in performing these audits, and that is a challenge. So I know there's some noise outside that can constantly say we're not hiring the auditor because we don't want to be audited, and that cannot be farther from the truth. If that person that's making all the noise wants us to hire an unqualified, incompetent person, yeah, we could do that, but then it'll cost the county money.
And in the conversation, the county does get an annual financial audit.
Correct.
Every year by an external accounting firm. So this internal auditor might be trying to help them or not, but might be doing more performance audits. And at the end of the day, we can talk about it in our budget. If anybody wants to see something audited, we can talk about it, discuss it, and go and try and contract it out. And fund it. But, any further questions on the auditor's office? If not, we'll move on. Back to the very beginning. We'll go to council services. Jay, do you want to provide a briefing on council services? Did we get a write-up for elections? Oh, sorry. I never looked at it. Oh, okay.
Some major changes, operational changes, all of you have seen, and we have our historic county building elevator, which has been down, and that's been extremely problematic. Accessibility accommodations. Because the elevator is down, we've had to make a lot of, yeah, and, you know, really, I really must give it to the staff who really stepped up and, you know, they, from setting up the iPads to staffing it, I mean, they've really stepped up and extremely grateful. We also have facility issues, as you've seen, being that this building is the longest continuously operating county building in the state. Although we've undergone renovations and various restorations, we have significant problems with drainage is one, and thanks to Public Works as well as some assistance from Parks, they'll be taking care of the sewer line. Is it early in the next few months? And that'll hopefully really help. There's a large tree with these roots that have been wreaking havoc on our system. As with an old building, we have the glass atrium downstairs that's been leaking, and so we have a lot of those kinds of things. And then with the actual operations of the office, we do have some vacancies, and we are working on reorganization of this staff responsibilities. I mean, we have really worked to continue to get whatever you folks need done, whether it's staffing meetings, you know, getting legislation done, drafted and passed, and, you know, everyone has really stepped up to assist.
Okay. Questions from the members? Councilmember Cowden.
Weren't we going to paint the building? Wasn't that on a CIP budget last time?
Yeah, for last year. I'm not sure where it is in this grand scheme of things, but it has been discussed, and hopefully it'll happen within this year.
Okay, and then, so I just have a couple of them too. So I had that, and then, you know, we've had a lot of static around the elections. Is there any
Elections, let's wait till the next one. We'll just stick to council for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember Kuli.
I just have a follow-up on the narrative, how you talked about the building, and, you know, this building is everything. I mean, it's the face of our county. It's the gem, if you will. I mean, it's the historical gem, and it must be, the renovations are beautiful, but now underneath, if we're having serious problems with plumbing and with the lighting atrium, we gotta address that, and we gotta address that, I think, as soon as possible. So I know you have it listed as, and the elevator, obviously we have to do it long-term, but I think it needs to be now, and so maybe, if anything, is there like an R&M building line item here where we need to put significantly more monies into, or also in the CIP?
Yeah.
And
So
where's administration at with supporting us on this?
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal.
the admin's been extremely supportive, and we'll be meeting with them to discuss all of these challenges to make sure that whatever needs to be done is addressed. Because, I mean, really, it's a beautiful building. You hate to see it deteriorate and, you know, truly fall apart. You know, that...
We can't let that happen.
Exactly. Yeah, we won't let it happen.
Also,
we'll provide any numbers that we have.
Council Chair Raposo.
You know, it's hard for me to be nice about this because I think for a few years now, I have been talking about this. I have been talking about this. It's the seat of local government, as you said. And nothing has been done. And every year we approve hundreds of millions of dollars for projects that the administration has. And we have an AV system that is breaking once or twice a month. We have painting, which I asked for last budget, and we didn't get the building painted. We have a basement that is usable, but not usable because it needs to be repaired. Yes, we have a sewer line issue that needs to be done, but we can do the cosmetic fixes without, that has actually no impact on the sewer. My point is, we approve all of the projects that the administration is proposing every single year, and the little things that we ask for doesn't get the priority. And this is not the clerk's fault. And I understand she's saying they're very supportive. Yes, they are. We've had numerous meetings sharing and saying what we need here, and it just never gets done. So I have asked Jade to even consider, the council chair is the chief procurement officer for the council, for the legislative branch. We don't have to go through the administration. So should we, this budget, should we take the monies and take it from the CIP, put it in our office budget, and we go out for procurement, we go out and hire the contractor to do what we need done, because we're not getting the respect we deserve. And I say this every budget, and every budget is, yes, Chair, we're going to get them done, we're going to get them done, we're going to get them done. This building should be meticulous outside. We shouldn't have cracks in the sidewalk. This should be the cornerstone of this county, and yet we can't even get it painted. So that's a decision I'm asking all of you to make before we get to decision making, because I am more than prepared to move the money from CIP into our budget, and let's go do our own. Let's go have a self-contained video system in this building where we don't have to worry about, sorry guys, we got to take a time out because something isn't working, or at least get the building painted. You know, we can do that. And you know, I've been just so tolerant and patient. And then as I look through the budget and I see the millions of dollars that we are approving for the administration projects, I'm like, guys, can we at least get the building painted? Can we at least get the building painted?
I thought we agreed on that.
We did, and it's funded, it's budgeted, it just doesn't get done. And that is why I'm saying, if we handle the procurement, if we do the procurement, we issue the RFP, because we can, and we bypass that whole process, I bet we would get things done quicker. So just something to think about as we go through this budget, because there's, you know, there's a lot of items that we got to go through, but I cannot wait no more.
So I just have a follow-up to that question. Do we have the staff person to do the RFP and all that? Like, I wouldn't be the
We would work with purchasing. Okay. We would send the specs over, and it would be just that it would be directed from us and not the administration.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we would put out the procurement for the painters. We would put out the procurement for the plumbers. We would put the procurement in.
And Jade to do it?
That would be, well, her and her staff, working with purchasing.
Okay.
We would put out the contract for the AV system in this county, in this chambers, because it's not working. Cameras, we should be having, you know, we should have no blind spots in this whole building. Our staff is vulnerable every day of the week, and how long does it take to get cameras that work? And again, it's the frustration. And you know, last year we went through this. I remember saying almost the same thing last budget, and yet the building still looks like crap outside. And this shouldn't. It shouldn't. This should be the best looking building in the county. Sorry, but it had to be said.
Any other questions on the budget from the members? Councilmember Cowden.
Well, it's not necessarily a question, but it's a statement. So,
question. I have a question.
Can you make it a question?
All right. What do you think about this? Clerk, Fountain. I have on page 14, I have 2 constituent relations coordinators. It's been amazing. It's really wonderful that that's the case. I have one of those positions open. So is it something we would consider to take? I'm not planning to fill the other position for the next 5 months, so that we would, free up that. But I want to 7-month fund it for whoever takes my position. so they would have that possibility. And then there should be some excess from that, what hasn't been spent in that position. So what happens with that excess? Can that get applied for anything? Do we get to have our own carry forward and use it the next year, or does it just go back to the regular general fund?
It will go back to the general.
By,
Should know that. It will go back to the general fund. With your two positions, there's a little something that
We could talk about offline, but I mean, I definitely keeping the one position, but just, I want to, handle whatever hasn't.
Council Chair Raposo.
Thank you. Jade, I guess get your input on this, because I'm assuming we need to fund the existing positions till the end of the fiscal year, or till the end of the term, I guess, for the council members that are here that won't be here next term. And would you agree with my thinking that we shouldn't leave any money in there? If the new council members come in and they want staff, then they need to go through the process, because the Cost Control Commission made a very, very clear finding that we were funding positions that weren't being filled, and we were basically banking. What we're telling the administration not to do, we were doing. So we'll fund the positions to accommodate the council members that are here, those that have a potential, that incumbents that would keep theirs. But for the council members that are leaving, I would suggest that we fund only to the.
And the logic too would be that we don't have numbered seats where somebody's literally filling my seat. It's at large, somebody's filling a seat on the council, but it's not necessarily my seat.
Correct.
So I agree with you.
I just have a follow-up on that. I'm not saying don't do that, and when I look at the other counties and then how well staffed they are, it takes a while to build up and grow staff that know how to make a difference, but it really does make quite a bit of difference. So I want to at least encourage the body to be willing, at least it's made a big difference for me, to have the body be willing to consider funding that for whoever's continuing, or whoever gets reelected, or gets elected, excuse me.
Yeah, and the funding is our decision, not Jade's.
Well,
Right. No, I just,
yeah.
She's got to propose a balanced budget, a budget, and this is her budget. It's ours. We make the
A discussion we can have in between the supplemental.
Question on the next page.
Councilmember Cooley.
On the bottom of page 15, under other services, the line item that is performance audits is $600,000. Typically, how many can we get at that price? Do they vary in range from what to what?
Yeah, so a performance audit will really vary depending on the scope. So you could have many small ones, or you could have a few larger ones,
Okay.
which, takes the time and the hours.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Holland.
Thank you. So with that, we really are adding the money from this one for audits. This is performance audits to the other one audits. So it's kind of almost similar to what we paid for the county auditor, right? But then it doesn't include the contract cost that we then paid out anyway. Okay.
Yeah. So the performance audits, $600,000 would just be for a contract to conduct the audits.
Even if we had an auditor, we would still be paying the
salaries plus
the 300-something thousand for the annual audit.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Cowden.
On page 16, when it says council assistance, 300,000, what does that mean? It's at the bottom of page 15.
So council assistance was the catch-all for, if you remember when the mayor provided, I believe it was $1 million.
Oh, okay, right, okay, so I actually had asked for that,
Yeah, so
and
for
then we haven't
those-
really managed to utilize that.
So for those that did not hire staff,
Okay. Okay, so then this is still allowing room for whoever gets elected next time. This is where they would have room to pick that up.
and that would be through a money bill.
A money bill would be made and then assigned to them for their.
The same way it was done prior.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Bulosan.
Just right underneath that, Jade, the chamber AV improvements, that's all completed? That was little.
That has kind of been a work in progress. We're trying to see, as I'm sure all of you have noticed, there are a little glitches and, there are improvements that need to be made. And so we're hoping this money, whether it's a standalone system like the chair.
Yeah, I think, Jade, this will, I would feel much better putting that in a CIP. And again, this temporary Band-Aid, Fern's microphone today is driving everybody nuts in it. And it's not the first time. It's not that mic has a problem that we cannot fix. And those things like that drive me nuts because the last improvements that we had was, I believe, like $400,000. And we cannot fix that. We cannot fix that echo. There's a problem. So I would much rather put these funds in a CIP and like I said, go out and let's go do a package deal, get a vendor that can come in and completely fix this once and for all. Tying all the systems together, because that just not supposed to happen when we spend that kind of money. And maybe it doesn't bother you folks when you hear that echo, but I do. It bothers me. And the poor lady that's over here just got to monitor that. So, I mean, again, Errol, I think like you said, this is stuff we'll be deciding as we get the supplemental and doing decision making, but I don't want to just keep money in a pocket that we're going to be paying money for these people that try. We had this room full of guys from Oahu. I don't know what the bill for them. They were all here with step ladders and all that, and they cannot fix it. So let's find a system, buy it, make it work, and be done with it.
Any other questions from the members?
Committee Chair, there is something that I wanted to point out on page 17, master page 17, automobiles, $85,000. That is no longer needed. The vehicle has been received. It was just put in there. We just didn't know when it would be coming in. So with the help of Parks, both Preston and Pat really assisted us in getting the vehicle.
Councilmember Cooley.
So it was your plan then to correct that in the next comeback? So we can't use it for something else. Thank you. Thank you. I was going to ask about that. I wasn't sure if there was a third one coming or if we're all done. Yeah, thank you.
So, kind of
Councilmember Bulosan.
along the lines, I noticed we had that charger, and that was through Parks, right? That wasn't in our budget, the charging station for the electric. That wasn't in this budget, right? That was done by Parks.
It wasn't in ours.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for council services? If not, we're going to move on to elections. And it was really late when I was looking at this, and I didn't realize elections was on the last page. I just thought, I guess I'm done.
I read it as part of the thing.
The write-up, I was like, the write-up's done. I looked through the budget.
Yeah, he had his own little write-up.
Okay, Lyndon, you want to give us just a brief overview, and then we'll go into a budget?
Morning, everybody. Lyndon Yoshioka. If I can see. Yeah, like we typically have with elections, we are entering an election year, so the budget is a little higher than it typically would be. A lot of that is, of course, related to salaries, and we do anticipate some retirements, so we have to put additional money in the vacation credit payout. Challenges, we face constant challenges.
Challenges what?
Challenges. We constantly face challenges. We're constantly trying to improve. The primary focus this off year has been to really tighten up the mail voting section, especially the scanning of return identification envelopes, which is time consuming but a necessary part of the process. Related to that is, updating the signature database that is used to compare and validate signatures on envelopes. They kind of go hand in hand. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I thought it was a pertinent thing to bring up. For voter service section, in the past we used what these devices are called, like poll pads, to register people, but we have encountered a little bit of issue with them not being able to do exactly what we wanted the poll pads to do. So we're going to go back to using paper applications like we've done, I think, maybe 2-3 elections ago. Going back to doing that, it should provide for a uniform process for all voters entering the ESC. And like we do here, we have facilities on that side as well. I think the building was renovated in around 2010, but plumbing issues. A lot of the windows are starting to rot out, as well as the door, the metal door leading to the basement. So at some point that'll need to be replaced. For highlights, we did have staff work real hard to shore up the signature database. They spent a lot of time cleaning that up and getting that up to speed in preparation for this election. And, we did make some pretty good progress regarding continuity planning. We got some bodies in there to get some of the experience, institutional knowledge that is required for people to really take on that role. And I think we did a good job there, so I'm pretty comfortable with that. That's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick one.
Councilmember Kuli'i.
Just a quick question, and my only because I stepped out to the bathroom. The RIE, can the voters expect that something will look totally different, or they may not even notice? You're just doing it for your purposes of processing.
You mean the envelope processing part?
You said return, this streamlined return identification envelope.
Oh, no, that's
RIE.
just up in our office process.
From
voters' perspective, they won't.
No.
Yeah, we're just trying to see whatever we can do to. I mean, election day for those guys is like brutally long. Yeah, so we're trying to kind of maybe front load some of the work so that they don't spend that 40-hour plus.
I think it's always best to improve the process so that it's
We're
easier.
trying.
Yeah,
we're trying.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bulosan.
Have you been noticing over the years that the volunteer rate is going down, or support? Considering staffing, as you mentioned, some changes.
Funny you mentioned that because I was speaking to a former temp worker who works downstairs in a voter service center. Asked the person, "Hey, coming back," and they said, "Oh hell no." Sorry. It gets kind of toxic down there. And what was, I think, really troubling for this individual was the people that were giving the staff downstairs grief were supposedly friends. So she was like, "No, I'm not coming back," which is difficult for us because you're talking about a few years of experience that we lose, training-wise, so unfortunate, but.
Councilmember Cowden?
Yeah, I have a follow-up on that, is what I was asking before. There's been so much, just going to use a general word, static, from the community around the elections process. Can we help some way, like by adding a little bit of funding to be able to make sure that we are staffed up enough, or whatever is creating the conflict that causes a loss of confidence, and then perhaps difficulty towards our people who are doing the job? I mean, is there some way, what can we do to ensure that we don't repeat that? And
I don't know if throwing money at it will necessarily solve a lot.
Another body wouldn't help.
No, I think we can. The staff has been working hard, even in the off year, to find bodies. So I think we'll be okay, but, you know, the point I was trying to make is losing somebody who had worked maybe 2 or 3 prior elections helps a lot because they already have that basic experience rather than starting from somebody new who doesn't know anything. I don't know. And trust me, we've had discussions about this statewide. Basically it would be an effort to try to influence free will, yeah. And I don't know if we are ever able to do that.
I mean, I know some of this stuff happens at the state level, seems like where some of the conflict is, but like, I just want to say chain of custody, that sounds like just a staff, just a counting issue.
Well, I got to tell you, I hate that term because it's not a term that, elections officials use.
I just hear that term, right, or that phrase, so it seems like, well, is that probably not that hard to fix, or I don't know.
Well, I don't think there is really an issue with that. That was something that was created on their part. So
created at the airport?
No, they created that issue. It was not, in our view, an issue.
Okay. All right, so that was just a simple question. The answer sounds like no. I'm just saying if there is an identified line item that we could add a little bit of funding to strengthen confidence, I'm just very willing to support that. I don't know the process well enough to tell you what you need to do or what needs to be done. Just saying I'm willing to put a little more money. I'm hearing you say that might not help.
If I can think of something, I will definitely let Jade know.
The council has been extremely helpful and supportive, and we're very, very grateful for all of that.
Council Chair Raposo.
Linda, there was talk at the legislature of increasing the number of voting spots, polling places. I have not followed that bills, but can we expect more places for our voters to vote, or is it going to be the same as the last election?
It will be just the one site we have down in the basement. I haven't checked on the status of the bill, but I don't believe it moved forward, and I think the deadline is already passed.
Yeah, if it never crossed, then it's.
We don't plan to have more than the one site down in the basement. We did studies in the past, and the numbers that we have are old, but I think we did an estimate a few years ago, and again, I'm going off memory, but I think we're talking about probably 100,000 per site.
Yeah. I just said the last couple of elections, the complaints, because we have more people now, the roads are more crowded as opposed to 20 years ago, that it's becoming a real difficulty for those people on the other ends. Understanding that they can just mail in their ballot or go to a ballot drop box. Yeah. But for those that insist on voting in person, it's very, it's deterring some people from coming in because of the traffic. And
and I would like to also note that given the number of voters who would potentially use the in-person site, not to always fixate on costs, but the per voter cost would be quite high.
I think Honolulu was, last election, I forget who the last, was it Maui that the last voter voted at really, really late? That's why.
Couple A, I think.
Couple A. And they had the same complaints. The residents had the same complaints because they're so limited to where they can go. And I was hoping that state would fix that, but it doesn't sound like they did.
So they can vote earlier, walk-in voting earlier, right?
Oh,
the
correct.
voting's open.
Yeah, we have it like at least 10 days before the election, on Saturdays as well. So.
But again, it's only here.
Yeah.
That's the dilemma I think a lot of people have is, they're living in Kekaha and they got to drive all the way to Louis to vote.
To go Costco.
Exactly.
Councilmember Holland.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what the constituents are complaining about.
My question was along the same lines. You saying that it costs about $100,000 to run one of those polling sites the day of the election, right?
No, for the duration of the voter service center period, which is at least 10 days prior to the election.
Okay, so, because historically, we just had the election day, and you only voted on that day. So I'm wondering what the cost is if we were to add 2 sites, one to the far north and one to the far west. I'm just wondering, I'd love to know if you can estimate what that cost would be to add 2 sites, and then like the staffing needs and all of that. Because I do agree that there is some concern about that. But I think that one of the ways that we might be able to do this, and I'm wondering if you guys would consider that this year, is really advertising that advance voting opportunity, because I think a lot of people might not be clear that you can vote weeks in advance in person. And I think we could probably do a better job of trying to get that out this year, of letting people know about the advance. Don't forget, you can, just a suggestion, if we can do anything like that.
I don't know. You mean election day, 2 more sites?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yes, I mean on election day,
Yeah.
two sites just for the one day. But I'm just wondering, like, because I think, like you said, you could go Costco, you could just go vote. So I think that advance notice is important. But I'm also wondering how close you're following the SAVE Act. And
I haven't looked at it.
okay, I'm just wondering, the last 2 weeks I've dropped off on where the status of that bill is. But it would, one of the radical things that we learned at NACO was that there's no implementation time. So if that federal bill passes, we have to immediately pivot to in-person voting. I know that it was still very active 2 weeks ago. It's also the one that limits women from being able to vote if they've changed their name without having all the marriage certificate and documents at each time to vote. And so I'm just wondering if we're kind of following along with what would be expected if that bill does become law, because there's Oregon county members that were at NACO were speaking about how like they've only done in-person voting. They have they only do mail voting. They have 0 in-person voting. And they've been doing that for 30 years. And so they're panicking, trying to figure out how they would even implement an in-person voting program. And so I kind of think that it's smart if we want to think about what exactly those things would change and what that cost would be if that does happen. And we do have some kind of crazy pivot where we have to create in-person voting, and we don't even really know how to do that without our election just falling apart, which a lot of other counties are worried about.
Well, again, I can't speak for the other counties, but if we were required to do that here, the only thing that I can think of offhand would be, we wouldn't be able to get enough voting equipment, first of all.
Yeah.
So.
It takes a while.
Yeah, and I mean, you just don't go out and get these things off the shelf at Costco or stuff. The voting system vendor would need to be the one providing us the equipment. I don't know if, and they have a lot of contracts nationwide. I mean, we are basically in the same boat.
Yeah, I think it would be, worthwhile following that along because.
But part of it too. Sorry.
No, go.
But the argument that I understand that is also being made is that states determine time, place, methods. So regardless of whether something is passed at the federal level, there's some debate as to whether or not it needs to be.
Okay, I hope you're following closer than me because I haven't been able to
as much as I should.
The last couple weeks. But I am concerned about if it does implement, what that would even mean for us, and if we could even pivot quick enough to meet the need of our voters to be able to get to the polls.
I mean, I have some ideas, but I don't think it would be appropriate to share them on.
Okay.
Because these are my opinions only.
Councilmember Cowden.
This is just a clarification. It might have been on what Councilmember Kaneshiro asked. I saw that there was something where they were thinking about going back to precincts. There was definitely a request. So is that what the bill is at the state level that didn't pass? Or there's just not a chance that we're going back to precincts? The county doesn't have the choice, right? We don't get to make a choice whether we're going to do a precinct or not. So if people are frustrated at us for not offering precinct voting.
Do you mean in person?
That's in person.
Oh, okay, but every precinct.
Every precinct. I used to love that, actually. It was really nice. But it seemed like it was a whole big event, community event. But That's been asked for. I see that again and again, but it's not up to us to determine that, right? That's completely up to the state. I'm just wanting to make that really clear so that people aren't angry with our elections division. It's not their choice to be able to decide whether there is.
I don't want anybody to be angry either, but I think it is our choice.
It is our choice that we can.
The counties does control elections.
We can do our own precinct.
No.
I'm just trying to find out.
No, because state law divvies up responsibilities for elections. So we are responsible for counties, responsible for voter registration, the absentee voting process, and the voter service center. The state is responsible for the voting system and the deployment, the maintenance, and the tabulation of ballots, voted ballots. So it is not really entirely up to us to determine. I mean, we could, if there is political will, you guys fund a few $1 million and we could get our own voting system, but I would highly recommend against that.
Well, I want to just say for the record, like, if there was a precinct, I wouldn't put it at the extreme end. I'd probably put it at Hanapepe and Kilauea or something, so it's not so far if somebody lives in Anahola to go all the way to Hyanna, but a day of vote, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Let me just say that. I don't know what it would cost. We're obviously not geared up for that, but I would be willing to, work with that.
Councilmember Kuli'i.
I mean, before I actually ask my question, in general, the counties serve as a subsidiary of the state. We were created by the state initially. Especially with something like elections, I'm sure we could if we funded it, but we would have to do it with the blessing of the state. We would have to work with the state. We couldn't just go off on our own and start doing elections.
No, I think there need to be enabling legislation.
Yeah, enabling legislation as well. My question was along the lines of volunteers versus staff, because I think when you give us any kind of estimate for what it would take to do something, in the old days when we had all the precincts, we also, and across the country, not just here in Hawaii, relied really heavily on volunteers, and people were so proud to run a precinct, and it was pretty much all volunteers. I mean, you only have so much staff to try and support all these precincts, but it would take a whole lot of volunteers that the way things have changed is not really out there with the kupuna and all of that, correct?
That would be my opinion. Yeah. I just based that off that story I shared about,
And so for the estimates that you do put together for us, I think you should do it with all paid staff, just because,
All paid, you mean?
When you said $100,000 a site, I don't know if that was including some volunteers or not.
Oh, that was, I think, well, given that we have staff now, we would have
they might be
one of those, supervisors, but the rest of the guys would be like short-term volunteer types.
Part-time hires, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Holland, follow up.
I just want to be really clear on this because I'm kind of feeling like there's still a little confusion here on what kuleana is what. We can choose to have in-person polling places without the approval of the state, correct?
If you're talking about voter service centers?
Yep.
Yes.
Just on the day of an election, we could, without getting state approval, have 2 sites that were in person for that one, for just the day of the election.
That we can do.
Yeah, and that's what I'm interested in costing.
But we wouldn't call them
Mike.
Yeah.
We wouldn't call them a polling place because that gets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but we control that decision.
Like we do this one here.
Right.
We have 1 now, you want 3.
Thank you. I just want to be clear because I don't think that was clear.
Only election day, not the 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
Follow up.
Not exactly.
Councilor Bulasan.
Coming back to the facility issues, kind of echoing Council Chair, is there anything glaring that, like, considering with all the, today, weather, this situation?
I mentioned about the frames and the doors corroding. I think there are more pressing things that monies could be spent on, which is why I'm not really requesting for that to be done now, but it's got to be on the radar. It's going to need to be fixed at some point, maybe next budget.
Yeah, I asked only because I'm not sure if these two buildings are connected on some infrastructure that would make sense that if we work on one, we probably should just not crazy.
Well, the plumbing, they're working on the plumbing, but there's a line that serves both buildings, and they're working on that.
Okay.
So that's the main thing. Yeah.
Councilmember Cotton?
So I want to start with a question, and I'll always thank you to our election staff, the marathon. So my memory is the 2024 election, it was almost 2 days before the vote was solid, is that right? People were still counting?
Correct.
Why did that happen when most of the time that isn't the case? I think the election before it was a little longer, but it's usually, you kind of know that night.
Well,
what changed?
You know what? Part of it is there appeared to have been a organized effort to have people turn in their return identification envelopes on the day. So, you know, that returning an envelope, there's a process that is required to vet it, compare the signature, and then have that opened and scanned. And, you know, when an operation our size gets like 8,000-9,000 envelopes in one day, that's huge for us.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. And so I guess I'll just kind of reframe it one more time and accept the answers that come. But when I'm looking at how we throw money at the problem, we only have a certain amount of equipment, right? So we can't like hire somebody else and make it go through the scanner faster. So it just has its pipeline.
Yeah.
And so that is, I would say it's a act of social resistance maybe that happened. So, you know, whatever we can do to try and figure out a way to help soften that resistance and build trust. You know, we have to sort of really build trust. I'm happy to throw money at it. Whatever. If it won't, it won't. But I am happy to look at that.
Any other last questions? If not, this is the end of our budget reviews. Okay, thank you. Completed our final departmental budget review. I'd like to cancel all the budget callbacks, right? Anybody needs a callback?
We'll throw a bunch at you.
I'm not going to chair it if somebody asks for one. Cancel all the budget callbacks, which were scheduled on an as-needed basis for April 10th, April 13th, 14th, 16th, and 17th, 2026. Canceled. As a courtesy reminder, the public hearing for the two budget bills and the real property tax resolution will occur on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026 at 5 p.m. here at the Historic County Building and in Meeting Room 106. At this time, and hearing no objection, I'd like to adjourn the departmental budget reviews.